I begin in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful.
What's up, guys? Derek Silka, the CMO of Ronnie Coleman Signature Series, here with the man, 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, buddy.
Just going to start a little podcast. We've been talking about it for a long time.
Yep.
It's kind of been a hot trend in the media content world, and everybody always wants to hear what you have to say. Oh, yeah. I mean, every time you do an interview, you jump outside a show or you're somewhere, everyone's always trying to find you.
Yep.
To stick a mic in your face, right? So,
yeah, they know I tell it like it is.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So that's what we're going to do here. Hope you guys like it. It's first episode. So any suggestions, anything that you want to hear, topics, questions, anything you got, put the questions down below here. If you're seeing it on a platform other than YouTube, write us in on social media or email in to marketing@ronniecoleman.net and let us know what you want us to talk about. So we'll go through a rundown here and see how this first episode goes. Let's start off with the big topic, surgery update. So surgery was, you're having another one, right? And some people on social may know this by now, that this is hopefully the last one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we just had notification today that there's going to be a delay.
Yep.
It was supposed to be tomorrow, right?
Yep.
And they're delaying it how long now?
February 6th.
What was the reason for the delay?
Anti-inflammatory medication. Doctor found out that, last surgery, they didn't give me enough time to get off this anti-inflammatory that I was taking called Solendike.
Okay.
And he noticed that I bled a lot.
Yeah.
The last one.
Okay.
So he said, last time I think I got off probably maybe 3 or 4 days, maybe 2 days or something like that. And he said, probably better if I gave it 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we're going to do 2 weeks this time around.
To be off of them.
To be off of them, and hopefully that will cure the bleeding problem that I had.
Yeah, okay. So he thinks that was the problem with the bleeding last time. Okay.
Yeah.
So get off those for a couple weeks. And
then we'll be ready to go.
Well, what's another couple weeks, right?
Exactly. 2 more weeks work out for me.
Yeah, that's true. Get to work out for 2 more weeks. So.
I'm not complaining, not one bit.
Yeah. So, all right, well, we'll update everybody when that's going to happen, because you were probably going to do an update tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Going in.
For sure.
So we'll, it's Thursday, Thursday, January 11th right now on this recording. So you guys might see it a day or two late after we edit it and stuff. But, so it's supposed to be Friday the 12th of January. So we'll see maybe the, 24th, 5th or something, somewhere in there, January, maybe the end of the month.
Yeah.
We're looking at. Okay. Well, we'll keep you guys updated on the surgery.
Yep.
Dates. I'm sure you'll see it on the Instagram or Facebook pages. So let's talk about, since we're on the surgery update, circle back on, because it's been a long kind of process, right? Not even just this recent one, but the whole chronological order of the injury and the reason why. I mean, it goes back to
high school days,
right? Yeah, and it was a long time. So take us through, let's go through the major events, first injury, and then when you had another one, I think probably in the 90s, was it Arnold Classic or something, where you had a squatting injury kind of thing, and then you just kind of, you got better from there, but you kept going, and eventually, and then we had a surgery that was okay, and then something went wrong in it after. So let's go through that timeline for everyone who probably doesn't know the whole story, really.
Yeah, the whole
They
story.
think it's from some other dumb reason, right? They don't really know. So let's clear it up.
Yeah, everybody think it's from all the heavy lifting I've been doing over the years, but I kind of heard it. It actually did have something to do with heavy lifting, but it was heavy lifting in high school.
Okay.
When I was first trying to learn how to get my form right and all this kind of stuff, when I first got on my first powerlifting team. Well, I injured my back in a meet. I think it was my junior year in high school.
So 17 or something?
16, somewhere there. Yeah. I think I graduated right at 17, somewhere around there. So I was around 16. I was, I can remember like it was yesterday, because I was in a meet and I was trying to, keep up with the guys, because I was doing kind of bad, I wasn't doing that good in these meets. My first year in it, I wasn't that good. I was in the 181-pound class, and I was getting my butt kicked.
So you're trying to play with the big boys.
So I'm trying to keep up, trying to do the best I could.
Yeah.
And it was my first time doing about 450 pounds on the actually it was deadlift.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember, like I say, I remember like it was yesterday. I was coming up with it, and I heard like a little pop or whatever, and I'm like, in high school, you kind of try to play it off and just think it's just one of those things. Yeah, but actually, it kind of hurt bad.
Yeah. You're not sure what happened.
Yeah, I'm not really
First
sure.
experience.
Yeah. So I kind of like played it off and then paid no attention, just kept doing what I was doing. I actually finished the meeting, you know, and just kept going.
Right.
But I noticed that in the following weeks, you know, I was in a lot of pain. I hurt a lot, but like I said, you know, probably thing I just played it off.
Sure.
And then I never addressed it.
Yeah,
and
young kid, I did the same thing when I was younger.
and I just kept going, you know. Next year, same thing, you know. I'm getting better though, you know. I'm getting stronger.
And what year was this? Like
this was 81.
81. So like also the tech and stuff.
Yeah,
Sports tech and like medical
knowledge
tech,
and all that kind of
especially
stuff.
like down to the high school level.
High school level.
Even at the pro level.
We didn't have any trainers. We didn't have nothing.
Little town in Louisiana, right?
We didn't have nothing to address this. We had 15,000 people in our hometown, you know.
This was rub some dirt on it, get back on the field situation.
Old school
exactly.
Yeah.
Before.
No, to be honest with you, I never said anything to anybody about it. I didn't say anything to the coach.
You didn't know, right?
I just played it off for the most part, and just kept going. So, you know, one thing led to another, and I think I went to college.
Played football.
Yeah, I played football. And I was one day in practice, you know, I hurt my back real bad. I think I was tackling somebody and, you know, got up. Oh, man, that hurt real bad.
Yeah.
This time I couldn't play it off. And of course, you know, technology was a little bit more advanced.
Right.
You know, we had a training staff.
too.
You know, we had trainers and all this kind of stuff. And I just went and told the trainer, hey, man, my back. Well, we'll take it to the doctor.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor and, you know, got all these tests. They're like, you can't find nothing wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I'm in all this pain. So I just say, forget it. At the time, my mom had real good insurance, so I went to chiropractic. You know, and
they were able to relieve it.
Yeah, they were able to relieve it. They put me on all these machines. Back in those days, you know, chiropractic was just getting started, so they had a lot of information back then. And so after I was going to chiropractic every single day, and this is like I want to say my first year in college.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, things got better. You know, my back got better.
Right.
I went every day.
Yeah.
For like 2 weeks.
Sure.
You know, 2 weeks later, I'm feeling good. You know, everything's looking up. So, I'll say, you know, I finished the year. I got injured a couple more times. I hurt my neck a couple times. You know, it's just normal
part of the game,
wear and tear. Yeah, it's part of the game. You know, you're never gonna be 100%. No. You know, I had ankle injuries. I had knee injuries. You think of an injury, and you're going to have it in playing football, you know, especially playing middle linebacker.
Absolutely.
In every single play, you involved in some kind of contact.
Yeah.
Every single play. You know, either somebody's trying to knock you out.
You trying to knock someone else out. Yeah.
Or you trying to knock somebody else out.
Up in some mess or something. Like
it's just part of the game.
Bunch of grown men flying around at full speed. Like,
exactly.
You know, it's going to happen.
So we go on and, you know, I finished everything out. And, actually, I was supposed to be getting drafted. And because I hurt my neck and I had to, you know, I lost my starting position, you know, they quit. Cause I had some scouts that talked to me saying, hey, we're watching you. We're probably going to be drafting you at the end of the year and all this kind of stuff. But after I got injured and all that kind of stuff, they kind of like lost interest in it. I'm like, oh, man. But I had agents and all this kind of stuff trying to get me to go and say they can get me a tryout. I'm like, I don't want a tryout. I want to get drafted.
So did you ever do a tryout?
Nope.
Not doing one?
I blew it out. I was like, no, man. If I got to go out there and try out and you know try to beat all these guys out of a position, you know, I don't have a lot of publicity behind me at a small school like Grambling, you know. Yeah. I'm like, no, I'll just take my chances on
focusing on
my career because I got this degree in accounting. I graduated with honors. I graduated top of my class. Yeah. I was real good at it. Yeah. So I'll just take my chances on this. Right. And it's kind of like what I did, you know. But again,
it all led somewhere, right?
Things didn't work out the way I wanted it to. 3 or 4 years. You know, things are going great.
Pretty good. No significant injuries or anything.
No injuries or nothing.
Pain and stuff here and there. That
I have the pain, you know.
You do body.
Every time I do legs,
things that hurt,
I hurt for about an hour afterward and it goes away and I'm back to normal.
Sure.
Well, fast forward to 1996.
Right.
You know, I've been trying to get into the Arnold Classic.
Sure.
Every year I competed. 93 they wouldn't let me in. 94 they wouldn't let me in.
How did it go back then? Was it invite or?
It was invitation only.
Okay.
It's still an invitation only.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, still invitation only. 95 they wouldn't let me in. Coming to 96, You know, they finally
Finally
said,
got the invite.
yeah,
Okay.
they said you can be invited
Right.
in 1997. You know,
Okay.
So you know, the Olympia just finished. I just finally got a call out at the Olympia.
Yeah, yeah.
Got me a placing at the Olympia.
Right.
I think I placed like 15th or something
Yeah.
like that. So I'm
That
getting
was
ready to
96 Olympia.
Yeah. So I'm getting ready for the Arnold Classic. And it's the end of the year, and it's like December somewhere around.
Oh, so it was
there.
a different time back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm I'm doing my my normal workout that I always do.
Yeah.
Go to Olympia. Take a couple weeks off and get back into training.
Into it, right.
This year, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I took my couple weeks off. I get back into training. I'm thinking that I'm just as strong as I was before. When I took off, but
Jump
my
right
body
back in.
don't work like that. You lose a little bit of that strength.
Yeah.
So I'm squatting 600. I normally do 600 for like 12 reps.
Right.
Real easy, no
Nothing
problem
for
at
you
all.
back then, yeah.
But I took those couple weeks off, and I'm squatting 600, and I'm coming up on rep number 8.
A little shocked. You remember the exact rep.
Yeah. I remember the exact rep. Yeah. I'm coming up on rep number 8, and I hear a loud "Paya!" I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking the guy that spotted me had slapped me,
Right.
because you see some of the video,
Sure.
you see Brian hit me in the back of the neck
Fire you up.
to fire me up.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, you see, because he saw I was struggling with rep number 8, I'm thinking he hit me.
Yeah. Wrong.
So
Wrong
I'm like,
time,
dude.
Yeah.
So I dumped the weight. I threw the weight at him.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, did you just hit me?
He's probably real confused.
Yeah, he's like, no, man. I'm like, what was that loud pop? He's like, I don't know, but I heard it too.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn. As soon as I said that, I felt this pain just go all the way down my leg,
Yeah.
and all the way down to my foot.
Like a little delay that it just
yeah.
kicked.
I'm like, damn, that hurt.
Yeah.
Like I guess I'm done with squatting.
Yeah.
So I go and do my leg press.
So you
just
finished
normal
the
workout. I finished workout.
Okay.
I did my leg, my hamstrings or
Right.
whatever.
So was
I
it,
go
it
home.
was nagging you at that point, but not really
No,
like.
I mean it's just a normal nag.
Right.
I
Nothing-
always have. Like I say, I hurt after every leg
Sure.
workout.
Yeah.
But
you
it
don't, you're
goes
probably not
away
doing it right.
in about an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it
I
was
go
nothing
home.
like super concerning. It was
No,
like, I
it
just
wasn't
tweaked
nothing
something,
super
right?
concerning me. No,
Yeah.
nothing
Okay.
like that.
Just felt like you tweaked something.
Yeah, it felt like I tweaked something, but I was all right. Remember, I said I went and did my
finish
leg
it up.
press, and no
Sure.
problem
Yeah.
there, and did my hamstring, no problem there. So I go home, do my normal routine, take a shower, get me a bite to eat,
Yep.
put on my uniform, and I'm going to work.
Yeah.
On cell phone this day, by the time I do all of that, the pain is gone.
Yeah.
This day
Had
the
a
pain
chance
wasn't
to
gone.
relax for a minute, sit
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
you're good. Yeah.
This day the pain wasn't gone.
Kept coming.
So yeah, it kept coming. It kept seemed like it was getting worse.
Yeah.
I'm like something wrong.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
this ain't normal.
Right.
Normally by the time I put my uniform on and get in my car
Feeling okay.
and go to work, the pain is gone.
Yeah.
This day it wasn't gone. I'm like, okay, something's wrong.
Yep.
So instead of me going to work, I remember as soon as I get out of here, I make a left and then I make a right. And right is going to work.
Yep.
That day, I'm like, I'm going left.
The hospital.
With the hospital.
Yeah.
So I go to the hospital and they take all these tests and they're like, man, yeah. I mean, the whole time I was there, the pain got worse and worse
Yeah.
and worse. And they giving me like shots and they giving me pills for pain.
Not helping.
Nothing's helping. I mean, seems like the more shots and more pills
got
they
worse.
gave me, the worse that pain got. I'm like, something's wrong. So they like, we did an x-ray, we can't find nothing. We did all these other tests, we
Yeah.
couldn't find anything. So we got to send you home.
What are you gonna do?
What? What about all this pain I'm in? I'm like, I'm still in a lot of pain today. Well, we got some prescriptions for you. We can get you some medication.
Yeah.
So I go home, and the pain got worse.
Yep.
It got to the point where I couldn't even sleep.
Yeah.
I didn't even go upstairs that night. I was in so
Couldn't get
much
up there.
pain. I couldn't
Yeah.
get up there, so I slept on the floor
Yeah.
downstairs. I'm like, man, this is some pain
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
This is some pain I never been through in my life.
Yep.
So called the doctor next day, and they're like, well, you probably need to get an MRI. I'm like, okay, let's schedule that right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to work because
Right.
I'm still in pain. And this pain is not going away.
Yeah. And you got to be on your feet at work.
Yeah, I got to be on my feet,
All control stuff,
So I go in for the MRI and get the results back, and they're like, "Oh, you got a herniated disc."
Okay,
I'm like,
there we go.
"Oh man, I got to get ready for a show. I got the Auto Classic
Yeah.
coming up." They're like, "Well, you can have surgery,
Yep.
or you can rehabilitate yourself."
Right.
I'm like, well, I ain't having surgery because
Yeah,
I got to show it.
Oh, anytime you can choose to not have it, you know.
Yeah, I got to show. I got to get ready for. So for the next 2 weeks, for the next 2 weeks, I didn't go to the gym.
Okay.
I was in too much pain.
Yeah, sure.
So I stayed down stairs. I didn't even go upstairs. Go to bed. I slept on the floor for like the next 2 weeks. And after they told me, they said, I said I'm gonna rehabilitate it. So I was going to chiropractor every single day.
Right.
You know, and after 2 weeks, I'm like, okay.
It lightened up a little bit?
It lightened up a little bit. I like, okay, it lightened up enough for me to go back to the gym.
Right.
So I went back to the gym.
How much
went
time
back to
did
work.
you have until the show?
See, that happened like December 15th, 14th, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So for the next 2 weeks, I think I went back to the gym probably around the first week of January. Okay. So I still had some time, you know, to get ready for the show.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what I did. I went back to the gym. And the first thing I did was squats.
Of course you did.
Gotta break the,
of course.
You gotta break the field, you know.
Break it right in. Yeah. It's like when you get an injury in football, you go out and just hit someone right away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm like, okay,
I got you on that.
I gotta go back to squats and get rid of this field squatting. So
what kind of weight did you use this time?
I went the highest I went with 3 plates.
Okay.
So 315.
So half.
Yeah.
Not
so,
risking it.
They can't do 600.
Right,
you know,
right.
because still in pain, you know, and still rehabilitating this.
Flare back up again.
And I gotta get ready for this show. I got to do the show.
Would you say you trained like just much lighter?
A whole lot lighter.
Make sure you could make it and not aggravate anything.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So there's the next big thing in injury. So eventually, did it kind of just you took some time off after the Arnold?
It went away.
Yeah.
Okay. All the pain, everything went away.
So you're,
I'm back to normal.
All good. Doing your chiropractic treatment normally.
I'm going to chiropractor every day. I'm doing massages and everything.
Right
now.
So did you have another flare up or injury?
Nope.
Before you won the Olympia for the first time?
Nope, never.
Okay, so we know everyone knows it happened. 1998 kind of came out of nowhere, won the Olympia, and then
But you know what? What a lot of people don't know is I was still in a lot of pain back in those days.
I'm sure.
I remember my first Olympia. I'm backstage, and I'm sitting down resting. And I go to get up, and my whole left side just lock up.
98?
Like, oh, man, what's going on? Yeah, that's 98.
Okay.
Well, that's
when you won.
Yeah, this is when I won.
First one.
I'm like, man, what's going on? Why are my legs still locking up? You know, it's from that herniated disc, you know.
Just nagging.
Once you herniate a disc, it never goes, it never goes away. So I found out that I can't sit down, backstage. I got to stay standing up because if I do, my body's just going to lock up.
Yeah.
So from that point on, I just didn't rest.
Your feet hurt after that day?
No. You know, I'm young. I'm young back in these days.
Yeah, still got super genetics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I can sit down for a few minutes. Right. I just can't sit down for that long.
Can't stay still.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I would do. I just take a few minutes here and there.
Right.
And,
yeah.
My body wouldn't lock up.
Right. Okay. So you win 98, 99, 2000. We know the whole run all the way through. Any significant issue from 98 to 2005? Standard stuff. It flared up every now and then. You had a little pain. You had that kind of thing. Right.
And
so the whole
kept going chiropractor. Kept getting my massages and everything.
So,
they came out with some
new stuff.
New machines called. It was a disc decompression.
Okay, I've done that. Yeah, traction.
Yeah, traction.
Sure.
And that kind of like healed me.
Yeah, traction's great.
Yeah,
I love traction.
It kind of like I didn't even have the pain or nothing.
Yeah, it pulls the discs apart.
Yeah.
So you can get them back into place.
Yeah. Kind of like puts the fluid and stuff.
Yeah,
back in there.
allows it to slide back in. Instead of being out of place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So I do that. It's a great treatment.
So I'm like, I'm doing good. Yeah,
I'm
real good. And all of a sudden,
when's the next one?
The doctor, it's like, hey man, I'm getting rid of these traction machines.
One in the house.
Yeah. This is like 2006 or 2007, somewhere in there.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I started getting worse again.
Yeah.
As soon as he got rid of those machines, I started getting worse.
I thought you were saying you took them from him and put them in your house.
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish. If I'd have known what I knew now back then, I would have done that.
Sure.
I'm doing good, so I'm like, okay, I'm healed. So you can. I don't need that traction no more.
Right.
Needless to say, I did need it.
Yeah.
And my body just deteriorated. from
Six and
that
seven,
point
somewhere
on.
in there,
Yeah,
seven.
06, 07, yeah. I just got worse and worse.
Okay, so what was so that's that when you had your first significant surgery? Was that
07.
07, and what was that, a neck?
No, that was my back.
Was it the back down below?
Yeah, that herniated disc.
Okay.
The doctor.
The one that finally.
Yeah.
Caught up to you.
Once I got off that traction machine,
Yeah.
those discs kind of like came together and just started sticking out more.
Right.
And it got to the point where it was just pushing on my nerves, and I wasn't getting zero. Like my circulation was real bad.
Yeah, no relief anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I was in so much pain that I couldn't even walk.
Yeah, I bet.
So I okay, it's time to have surgery.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, it's
about time.
It's time. Yeah.
Strung it out
and
as long
nothing
as you
else
could.
we could do. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's when I had my first one.
And that was like what, L3, L4? What were you remember the numbers?
3, 4.
3 and 4. Okay. And was it just a fusion?
No, they call it laminectomy.
Okay.
What they do is that part that's sticking out,
Right.
they shave it off.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And then, so how was that rehab recovery period?
Actually, I was almost back to 100%.
Yeah.
Right
Okay.
away.
So
So
you were
they
thinking-
shaved that off, and I went back to training real hard.
Were you
doing
thinking
squats.
comeback?
To be honest with you, I was thinking comeback.
Yeah.
I got everything started looking good, and I
Right.
started feeling good.
Right.
And like I said, that traction, it's like nope.
Yeah.
You're not completely healed.
Right.
And all of a sudden, my disc just started. They all started.
All of them.
Yeah,
Even after
herniated.
the surgery, yeah. So you had
So
more.
I had to have another surgery.
Okay. So we had another. So when was the second one? So the first one was 08.
The first one was 07 or
Okay.
December.
So basically
07,
into
almost
08,
almost
yeah, okay.
yeah. The next one was like 2 years later.
Okay. And what was that?
That was-
Same thing?
Uh,
Just different discs?
It was kind of like they call it a disc decompression.
Okay.
Where they go in and
And that's your lower back though?
Yeah,
Okay.
same thing.
Same
yeah.
thing, same
Yeah,
area.
actually, this is the disc above that.
Okay. So you're like 5 or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we had that one, and then what's the next? Because we're starting to rack them
Yeah,
up here.
now,
We started racking them up.
all of this is starting to
Yeah.
herniate.
Right.
And so they do another one. Except the next surgery, they put in screws.
Okay, so this
they
is the
put
first-
in like 4 screws,
Right.
and all of a sudden, I'm doing good and I'm still working out.
Yeah, of course. All right, hey, it's what you love to do,
So,
right?
Somewhere along the way,
But did
I
you so
kinda,
at that
broke?
at that point did you stop doing like super heavy stuff?
Yeah,
Is that when you
I
kind of
mean,
dialed it back?
yeah.
9, 10,
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah, 11, 12.
Yeah,
somewhere in
no
there.
back squatting.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
front squatting.
yeah. Mostly just I didn't actually do any.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't
it
need
got
to
to
at
the
that
point.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was not competing.
No deadlifting.
But no deadlifting
Yeah.
or nothing. So he got to the point where, I couldn't do all that stuff no more.
Right.
So I kind of backed off of it and just
Yeah.
did the normal.
Right. Just to train
Leg
for
press,
fun.
leg extension.
Yeah, it wasn't needed anymore.
No,
Not
no.
competing. So, okay, so we're all the way up to what, like 10, 11?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what was? I know you had a neck thing. So is that next in line?
Yeah, the neck was 11.
Okay.
I had fusion.
Right.
4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And that worked out real good.
That one, you never had any issues from that afterwards,
No,
right?
no,
You're
no
still,
more.
still all good up there.
Yeah, still all good up
Okay,
there.
so that one never had any problems. It
No,
was
that
just
one
kinda
never-
an in-between thing, right?
Yeah.
And then the next big one would have to be when I was with you.
Probably
Right?
like 12, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's when they went in and put all those screws in.
Okay. And then after that, the next one, we had hips in between there. So you had double hip surgery.
Yeah.
That turned out okay.
Yeah, I think that was
fine.
like 13, 14.
Right.
Somewhere
Yeah.
in there.
That's what I was saying. I was with you then.
Yeah.
And I remember because you were
Yeah,
in,
we was in the airport
Yeah.
at that time,
Yeah,
going
yeah.
in Canada.
Yeah.
And I was walking.
you were dying, man. I
and I'm
remember.
like, wait a minute, something
Real
really wrong
Yeah,
here.
I remember.
Like, I'm like, I went and got some treatment and it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I gotta go see the doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went to the doctor and said,
Both
we gotta
hips are
replace your
raw.
hips.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
He's like, ain't nothing else you can do. You rubbing
Nothing
bone
there.
on bone.
Yep. Yeah, I
So
remember.
I had
you-
both of those replaced.
That was
then.
that was a tough trip.
Yeah.
That was a tough trip for sure. I remember that. So then you had the double hip, right? and you're a maniac, so you did one and then did another one like 10
2 weeks
days later.
later.
2 weeks later, right? Just get it done, right?
Get
That
it
was
done,
your
get it out
mindset.
of the way.
Get it out of the way. Okay, so I remember you were actually cool after that. Like you had
Yep.
a little gimp going on just from them being new and getting used to it, right?
Yep.
We were in Tampa. We did a YouTube event there with Elliot Hulse, and I remember his channel. We did Dana Lynn Bailey was there, and we did a whole little thing
Yep.
over in Tampa. You
Yep.
were cool. We trained.
Yep.
I remember we trained.
Yeah.
And you know, you were still having that little like just hobble just from getting used to the new hips and everything, but you were pretty good, right?
Yep.
Not even in too much pain, right? Just
No,
like,
no pain at all. Actually,
yeah, I remember you were actually like,
pain was gone.
I'm feeling really good. I'm
Yeah.
finally feeling good. And then we were done. You went back home, and then you went to like Russia.
Yeah.
And it was there that something really bad happened.
Yeah, something
you weren't
bad
doing
happened.
anything. It was just
I was
came off the plane.
I
right?
came off the plane.
Yeah.
I was walking fine, and I remember they got me to the hotel, and I started walking. I'm like, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah, it just kind of happened out of nowhere.
Yeah. Then that was the first day I got there.
Right.
The second day I got there, I'm like, I'm still in a lot of pain. What's
Getting
going
worse.
on? And like the third day, I could barely walk.
I remember, yeah, 'cause I was
Yeah.
getting messages. Yeah.
It started getting worse and worse every single day.
And so,
So I get back home, and I'm like, okay, I'm going straight to the doctor.
yeah.
Coming to find out, screws that broke.
Right. So we'll put
And
that
in the
up on
process
screen too.
of those
Yeah.
breaking, they broke some bones in my
Yep.
back.
Okay, so that's what you guys will see on the screen here is the screws that were in there from
Yep.
before that were holding
Yep.
that were fine.
Yep.
They couldn't take the
Pounding.
the stress or they couldn't take it anymore, and one of them
Well,
snapped.
I was still kind of like working out.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I was with you. You weren't doing anything crazy.
No.
Dumbbell shrugs.
But
was like the heaviest thing we were doing.
come to find out, the screws they put in were meant for a normal person,
Nah,
not a bodybuilder.
Yeah, not a big guy.
Not a big guy
They weren't
like
ready
me.
for you.
Yeah.
So it
broke.
snapped.
Yeah, it
and one
snapped.
snapped, and you guys can see it on the screen there, and it pulled a piece of the vertebrae.
Yep.
Right,
Yeah.
and that is what really, I mean, the whole lead up that we've been talking about is the lead up to what's been
Yep.
going on, but that is the single one that really had like the worst effect, right?
Yeah, the worst
because
effect.
a whole piece came off, and then it's been like trying to fix it ever since, right?
Yep.
And it hasn't really been.
We went
going
back
great.
in, and they did this major surgery.
I was there. Yep, came down.
13 hours.
Crazy.
Yeah, man,
Craziest thing
he
I've ever
kind of
seen.
like redid my whole back.
Yep, and I will
Like
put
that.
those pictures up too. There's a shot of the screws, like
Yeah.
those big crazy screws.
6 screws,
They put
with
bigger
nuts
ones
and
in,
bolts. Yeah,
so they
bigger
wouldn't
screws.
snap,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then they got this cage that kind of like goes
Yeah, I
around
got 2
your spine,
cages
2
in there.
cages,
Yeah.
And so that was the very last one.
Yeah.
Now we're up to date. That
Yeah.
was like 15, end of 14.
14, end of 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, pretty long rehab process after that. We did
I was in the hospital for a whole month.
We did that whole series when I came down and filmed with you in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, at what point, how long after that did you really feel like, man, it's not really recovering the way I had hoped, and it just kind of just stayed stagnant, right?
Yeah,
Like 6 months or a year?
It never got back to normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just in pain
Yeah.
the whole time after
Right.
that last
Still in
surgery.
pain.
I remember. Yeah, I'm still in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And that's what this next surgery is for.
Right.
To relieve the pain.
Right.
Because come to find out, we went in one day and did a hardware release shot where
Okay.
they go in, they inject some kind of pain medication in there,
Right.
and
supposed
it's
to
called
look-
a hardware block.
Okay.
Is what it's called.
Okay.
And if your pain goes away,
It worked.
it's the screws is what causing all the pain.
Oh, and it did go away.
And the pain went away completely
So
for like
that's
a
how they
whole day.
determined
Yeah,
that was the pain.
yeah.
Okay.
So they found out the source of all my pain is from those
Those
6 screws
Well,
inserted into
you
my
take
spine.
a big ass screw and you take 6 of them and jam them into someone's spine.
Yeah.
I imagine there's a good chance there's going to be lingering
some kind of pain,
pain effect, but
yeah.
it had to be done, right?
It had to be done.
Had to be done.
So those discs would hold up.
Right, or they wouldn't, and then it would
The
cause.
fusion wouldn't have held up.
Yeah, you could have had, possible like.
Yeah.
Like paralysis, right?
Yeah.
That was a real thing, right?
Yeah.
So that had to be done, and that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. They don't. This whole
No.
lead up we talked about, and the reasons why, and the real reasons why it happened. And
Yep.
it's not like while Ronnie's still training in his 50s when he knows that it had not much to do with that.
Nothing
really.
at all.
Like an old injury that was from training, but the lead up to it and the spot that you're in right now is really just unlucky kind of circumstance, honestly, right? Just bad luck.
Those screws going in there and breaking.
Yeah, one break
breaking
is bad
bones
luck, right?
and all that kind of stuff.
Kind of just in a
messed everything. Domino's Pizza. Worked there for a couple years. You know, the whole time I was working there, I'm like, man, I need to get out of this and find me something else to do because I'm just
no one's hiring you.
Not making enough money. I mean, I went on tons and tons of interviews.
Yeah.
I mean, I interviewed with some of the biggest accounting firms in the world.
Yeah.
And you know, but nobody hired me.
Yeah.
You know, so they always saying they need experience. I'm like, okay,
how am I going to get experience unless
if
somebody
I ain't getting no experience, y'all don't hire me.
Right.
So
I get it. So let me we'll take a sidetrack real quick on that. I never asked you this before, but I always thought about it when you told that story. So this was what, 88 when you were trying to get accounting jobs?
See, I graduated in 86.
So 86 or
so
7.
87, 88,
Okay.
yeah.
So where were you trying to get the accounting jobs? In Louisiana, in your home
No,
state?
I was here in.
Oh, you were in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as I graduated, I left Louisiana.
You knew there was
I
really
knew
not
it wasn't.
much there.
I knew I
Yeah.
was gonna
You had to
get
go
no
to a
job
bigger-
there. But a buddy of mine, he had a job right out of college. My roommate actually, he
Okay.
had a job right out of college. He had a job here in Dallas. And I'm like, hey, I guess I'm going to Dallas. I mean, we've been together all this time.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going to Dallas with you.
Yeah.
So that's what I ended up doing.
So it's Dallas in the late 80s, 87. Right?
Well, see, we graduated in December 86.
86,
So
okay.
I came here in January 87.
Okay, right at the start of 87.
Right at the start.
So let me ask you this. At that time in this country, especially in the South, do you think that they didn't want to hire a black guy to be an accounting firm?
Big black guy.
Big black guy.
Muscular black guy.
Sure,
at
sure.
that. So I'm quite sure I was kind of intimidating
Sure,
a lot of
yeah,
these guys,
it's
these
not
small, skinny guys
not the-
in the interview.
It's not the norm, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
You ain't got nobody like me
Yeah.
coming in for no interview.
Do you think that was 50% of the time?
I'm gonna say all of the
All
time.
the time, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm interviewing with the same type of guys.
Right,
You know,
right.
Working at Big 10 accounting firm.
Yeah.
And they see me, big old guy like me.
Right.
I was pretty muscular back in those days.
Sure, just
I was
coming out of
weighing
college football.
225.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know, I had 22-inch arms.
Yeah, we got the old pictures. We'll toss Jared,
Yeah.
We'll toss a picture up here on the screen. Yeah.
So I was pretty fairly big and fairly muscular
They
back
just-
in those days.
they
And
weren't-
like, no, we hiring the guy.
just not used to it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Nothing they've never seen
Right.
before. You know, they lose
Right.
to the normal guy coming in
nerdy
there
guys.
interview.
Yeah, little nerdy, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Little nerdy guys doing accounting, sure.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with that. I don't think I've heard you tell that before. We never really got into that one, so that's interesting. Okay, so let's go back to the college. You're done with college. You had that injury there. You thought you were going to get drafted. You know, it didn't really work out. So you said, "Hey, look, I got a good degree in accounting. I'm going to go to Texas." And then take us to So fast forward, you ended up doing kind of odd jobs here and there just to make ends meet. You got into the police department finally.
Actually, my odd job was working for the Domino's Pizza.
Right.
And then that wasn't making enough money, so I got me a job throwing newspapers.
Right. Yeah. Hey.
Gotta do what you gotta do to make it
right?
survive.
So you're doing odd jobs,
Yeah.
right? Just whatever you can do to keep it rolling,
yeah,
right? And
exactly.
then your buddy said the police were hiring, or you had some information from somebody, did academy for a couple months, got accepted, got a job, right? So we're all good. You're getting a career.
To be honest with you, I got a little story on that.
Okay, let's do it.
I used to get the newspaper every single week.
Right.
And like accounting was always hiring because it's a good field.
Yeah.
So I'm getting all these interviews, but they always said you had to have experience.
Right.
And then so a buddy of mine said, "Hey man, work for police department. They say that right here.
No experience.
They hiring. You gotta have no experience." I'm like, dude, that's the last job in the world I would work for.
Right. Yeah.
I ain't never worked for no police
dangerous
department.
gig, man.
Yeah, I got a degree in accounting. I want to do something like in accounting.
Absolutely.
So about a year go by, same old thing.
Right.
I'm still going on these accounting interviews.
Yeah.
Nothing happening. 2 years go by, and I'm like, okay.
Gotta do something else.
Yeah. This is getting desperate. So
Right.
I'm like, okay, that police job don't look too bad after all.
Yeah.
So I go in, test for the police department, fail the test.
Okay.
What?
Failed the first one.
Yeah, I gotta fail the test. This easy test. It's just reading comprehension,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I go in there and just ace it because I'm just accounting stuff that's pretty complicated
Right.
as far as I'm concerned. And so I'm thinking, police test ain't gonna be nothing.
Yeah.
So the first one I fail. Okay, I go to that was in Richardson. The second one I go to was in Irving, Texas. I'm sitting there, I'm doing the test, and all of a sudden I'm like, man, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I can't go to the bathroom because it's time.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't. You only have so much time to finish everything.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I gotta go to the bathroom real bad. So
It's not gonna wait.
yeah, it ain't gonna work. So I raised my hand, you know, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom real bad. Can you give me a little more time? Like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what do you mean no?
Yeah.
I gotta take just a little bathroom break. I just need a little extra time. He's like,
Not
nope.
allowing it. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm done.
Yeah. So test number 2 is done.
The test number 2 is done. And I'm like, man, what, is this not meant for me to be?
Right.
So I'm not giving up. So I go to Arlington, and you know, everything was right nearby. You know, I was living in Irving at the time, so Arlington is just right down the street. So I go to Arlington and take the test. I mean, breezed right through everything. Crushed
Third time.
Yeah. We had third time was charm. I mean, I aced the test, aced the
physical.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom before the test, and that's how I ended up getting hired on Arlington.
Okay, okay, interesting. I didn't know you failed the test. That's funny.
Failed twice.
Yeah. Hey, well, we made it. So, so you're working for the police department. All good. Got a job finally. You're probably relieved about that, right? And then you've always been doing lifting just for fun as a hobby. It's been a hobby since you were a little kid, right? So
12 years old, I started.
Right. You bought a little saved up money to buy your own little set.
Yeah.
Yep. So now we're at the Arlington Police Department, and you're still lifting for fun down at the police station.
At the station every day.
Yeah, everybody knows the story. Some guy said, "Hey, you got to come check out Metroflex. They got a lot more equipment." And then the whole thing's history after that. Dobson, Brian, forced you, or pretty much.
Well, I told me to give me a free membership to the gym if I competed.
And you were like, "Okay, I'm in."
First 4 or 5 times he asked me, I was like, "Nope, no, thank you. I'm working police department. I'm happy."
Yeah. Yeah,
so I don't want to take no drugs and all that kind. Don't want to diet because back in those days,
eating pizza,
pizza, and cheeseburger, fried chicken was my favorite food. Actually, when I worked with Domino's, I got tired of pizza after about 2 years.
Imagine.
And I called Burger King like, "Hey, y'all tired of eating burgers? Yeah, let's trade.
Trade them up.
Yeah, got tired of eating burgers for a while. And then I called Kentucky Fried Chicken. Hey, y'all tired of eating chicken?
Just trade a little triangle there.
Yeah. So they had food courts.
That's resourceful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so I think everybody knows that little story of how you kind of got into the bodybuilding world. So the whole thing happens with Brian. You're in. You got the free membership. Then you did one show and you won it. And you're like, okay, let's keep this thing rolling.
Exactly.
And
free
it's
membership.
you're good to go.
I'm doing good.
And it's the thing you love to do. It's fun.
Yep.
You're going to do it anyway, right?
Yep.
So might as well do something competitive with it. So sure. Now you're working for the police department. You're doing that, and feeling pretty good at that time physically. Like no issues.
No issues.
So then take us to the next. Injuries.
To be honest with you, I think we did miss out some. When I started going to chiropractor back in my freshman year in college, I never quit. Yeah. I went my whole 4 years.
Kept that.
So when I got out, and because I was still training every single day or whatever, so I still had this back pain. I had
you couldn't go to the chiropractor then.
I picked up with chiropractor right here in Texas too.
Okay.
So I just went to the local guy. Hey, I was doing chiropractic when I was in Louisiana, and this is what I was doing there. They're like, okay, cool, we got all those machines here. So we can get you back on the same program.
So you kept that treatment rolling.
I never stopped it.
Through to the police department and everything.
Through the police department, Domino's, everything. I never quit going to chiropractic.
I mean, it works.
It worked. It was really very beneficial.
Same thing. I've done it too. I know it definitely relieves.
Very
I haven't
beneficial.
gone in a while.
And it helped out a whole lot.
Yeah. For sure.
Without that, that pain was murderous. Yeah. It was no joke.
Yeah.
I've chiropractic relieved all of that
to
pain.
A tenth of where you've been, and it's bad.
Yeah.
So I know for sure.
So I never stopped going to chiropractic.
Okay, so then we get to the police department. You're good. You're in Metroflex. You won your first show. You're kind of rolling your bodybuilding career in. Yep. From that point on, when's the next step in the timeline that there was a significant kind of back injury or something that happened where that the next thing that really is this whole line of
I'm quite sure most people know by now. It only took me a year to turn pro.
Right. Yeah. So you're in.
I started bodybuilding in 1990. Turned pro in 1991.
Yep.
Did my first pro show in 92. Ended up getting 11th. Did my second one a week later. Ended up getting 14th. Now the champion. Did my next one was a Mr. Olympia. Okay. My first year, I qualified by winning the Universal World Championship in Poland.
Yeah, okay.
With my first Olympia, didn't get a call out.
Yep. Happy to be there.
Just glad to be there. Had best seat in the house.
Right on stage. Yeah,
big fans right there on stage.
Yeah, sure.
Watching Dorian and Kevin. Kevin got second that year.
Sure.
So, like I said, things are going great for me. Yeah. You know, it was probably one of the highest points of my life. You know, going to my first Olympia.
Sure.
Because I never thought in a million years that I'd make it to Miss Olympia.
Yeah, even when you
because
started.
I only got into the sport just for a free membership to the gym.
Right.
The last thing I'm thinking about is turning pro and
Right.
making money and all this kind of
Right.
stuff. And competing on Olympia stage. Yeah, I mean, I never thought, that I'd make it that far. Because, like I said, I had this job at the police department. I'm making good money. I had like 2 or 3 part-time jobs, making good
so
money
you're focused
there.
on that
I worked.
stuff.
I got free rent in my apartment complex.
You did the security.
Well, yeah, I worked at Denny's. Making $80 a night, cash money.
Hey.
So I didn't need bodybuilding for any kind of money. But all the more the merrier.
Yeah, right on.
8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, buddy.
Always a good start when he says that, isn't it, Colleen? Ronnie, so how have you been, mate? I haven't spoke to you for a while. How's things?
Oh, everything's going pretty good. Just been trying to take it easy. I haven't done too much since the pandemic, just hanging in there mostly, Only thing I got coming up is my show in about 3 weeks from now.
Is that June the 5th, isn't it?
Yeah. This will be the 24th year, and, it's just one of those things now.
So your show, the Ronnie Coleman Classic in Texas, has been running with Brian Dobson for 24 years.
Yep. 24 years. Yep. 24 years. I started in 1997.
Wow. When you were Mr. Olympia?
Before I won my first one.
Oh, sorry, of course. Of course, yeah. Oh my God, what a schoolboy era that was, yeah. Wow, so you've been doing it that long? I never realized.
Yep.
Okay, Ronnie, now in the last episode of Nothing But a Podcast, there was a hugely positive response to the fact that your stem cell treatments have been going so well. Your fans so happy for you, Ronnie. So do you want to expand a little bit on that and tell us how that's been going and what you've got planned for that?
Yeah, I got the next shot coming up. Actually, it's supposed to be this month. But passport expired, and it's not easy to renew it like it used to be. Used to, you just go down there and take a picture, and that's it. Now you got to get in line and all this stuff. So as soon as we get the passport renewed, we're going back up there to do another one. So the more you do, the better it gets. And that's the way it's been going so far.
So you've been to Mexico, correct? And you've had two injections so far?
Well, I've been to Mexico only once. This will be my second trip.
Oh, wow.
But I've had one injection here. The stem cells here are a little bit different from the stem cells that they have in Mexico, though.
Okay. What's the difference?
They come straight from the placenta in Mexico. Here, they just regular stem cells that they manufacture,
Yeah.
like, kind of like synthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they have, synthetic product that they make. They have like a synthetic stem cell too that they make in a factory.
So, I mean, you said that it takes like at least a couple to kind of feel the benefits, but last episode you said you're feeling like better in yourself. Do you want to tell us how you feel better?
Yeah, I used to be in pain, like all the time. Now it's just sometimes, every now and then.
So what?
It seems like it gets lesser every time.
Yeah.
The more shots I do, the less the intense the pain is.
So what percentage would you say you've improved by?
So for about 60%, 70%.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's a whole lot.
Yeah. So how many more do you think you have to do before you can kind of feel almost back to normal,
I don't know. He just want me to continue to do it until I get better. It also regrows the nerves, but that takes a longer period of time, like maybe a year or two.
So how's, obviously with the lesser pain, how you can, because you've told me about the numbness, how's your training going generally?
Yeah, the training's going pretty good. I really never had any problems training. As far as pain and all that stuff goes, I just have to, uh, not try to do a lot of heavy weight and stuff, which
Yeah.
I don't do anymore anyway. So for the most part, thank you. For the most part, I just train, normal.
Well, you say normal, Ronnie, but that's normal for you, mate.
Yeah. For me, it's like a normal person would do. Like, I used to do, like 300-400 on the bench press,
Yeah.
Now if I do 200, that's a lot.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, no, but if your strength and your pumps get improving and the numbness and the pain is going, then that's a really good sign, mate. I think people are really happy to hear this improvement, because I think we were all hoping so much that the stem cell would really kind of give an improvement of quality of life for you and everything. How you've been feeling,
Yeah, and it's working real good, real good. I've been real happy with it, real happy.
Good. Oh, and then somebody said, is it true in the last episode you said you did 225 pound for 88 reps at Milos's gym? Can you just tell us whether that is 100% truth?
Yeah, that's true. That's not a lot of reps, I didn't think.
What? Oh, come on. 88 reps with 225, Ronnie. Come on. That's insane.
Yeah. I did 72 before that in a contest. It was some years ago, But when I did the 88, I had gotten a whole lot stronger,
So you got good fast twitch and good slow twitch fibers, because to be able to lift a lot of weight for a couple of reps is impressive, but to also to have endurance, that means that you're a different kind of animal.
Yeah. We used to do 100 rep sets on, leg press and all that, leg extension and all that kind of stuff too. So I got slow twitch and fast twitch real good.
Wow. Oh, also, happy birthday for last week.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. What did you do for your birthday?
Nothing. Pandemic, kind of hard to do anything during that time.
Yeah.
So I still hadn't, really gone out to eat or nothing since it started,
So, obviously you're in America, I'm in the UK. How's it doing there, the pandemic? Because things are kind of returning to normal slowly here in the UK. What's it like in Texas?
Yeah, it's completely open back to normal here.
Okay, good.
It's like normal, yeah. They lifted all the restrictions.
All of them?
All of them, yeah.
Masks?
Yeah, so my show will be, at full capacity.
Oh, fantastic news.
Mm-hmm. Last year we only had 800 people coming in.
So you still went ahead last year with the pandemic? You still managed to get it done?
We had to have it in November instead of June, like we normally do.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing.
Wow, fantastic. So good. So how many competitors do you average get at your show?
Right now we got right at 200.
Wow.
200, yeah. And it's still another 3 weeks, so we'll probably end up with like between 300 and 400, I think.
Fantastic. Do you enjoy running your show?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun, Get a chance to connect with the fans and hang out with people and do something different,
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, good. Do you like watching the show and seeing who's got potential?
No, I still ain't got into watching it yet.
24 years, you haven't managed to watch your own show because you're obviously talking to the fans.
Yeah, there you go. Plus, I'm always busy. I have, a line of people still,
Yeah.
So I'm signing the whole time the show is going on.
We'll have to get you a disguise so you can sit in the back or sit in the front with a disguise on so you can watch your own show.
Yeah. That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. So, and also, happy anniversary for yourself and Susan.
Yep.
So, what
did you get a chance to celebrate that either?
Oh, that's a shame. Well, hopefully things can return to normal and everything else. So, there's a few things you've got going on at the moment, Ronnie. With this King's Royalty package, what's that? Nice London mug there.
Yeah, that's something new. Where they 20 people get to hang out with me at the hotel. Ask questions and about anything basically. And then I sit with them at the show. They get to hang out with me there. Then they all get signed pictures and signed hats, stuff like that.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And also, I was going to have this on display, the Yeah Buddy, but your branding's changed now and you've got some new flavors.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have that show too. We'll be selling that too.
Good.
Plus, I'll be handing some a bag of that out to all the overall winners.
Oh, fantastic. So they're going to get free supplements to people who enter your show.
Yeah. Overall winners.
That's good. So how's Coleman Athletics going?
Going great. I mean, we're coming out with new stuff all the time. We've been selling a lot. Like I said, we're trying to add new shirts, new tights. That's what we're working on right now. And the women's line also.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's been going good. It's been going real good, actually.
I think you've got to get a top with a cartoon Ronnie on. Come on.
Yeah.
Or maybe some proper Coleman tights with the veins already on the material.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about all that though.
Yeah. So when does it really start opening up for you with your travel? Because the thing is, with RCSS and everything you've been doing, you travel so much, and I know you've been obviously we've all been restricted with travel. When does that really kind of kick off for you, and where are you going?
Well, you know what? I only have one trip planned so far, and that's the trip I have planned to the UK in what was that, October, I think.
It's the 2 weeks before the Olympia.
Yeah, Arnold Classic. That's the only trip I have planned right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't have anything planned besides that trip.
Are you not going to?
Only trip I have.
Are you not going to Dubai?
I hadn't heard anything from Dubai. Normally, he'd been calling me by now and booked me for that show, but he hadn't called me yet. So right now, I'm not going.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, maybe hopefully that'll change. So
yeah. We'll see. I think that's in December, though. I think.
Is it? Yeah, I think it's December, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Right now, the last few episodes you've had like a kind of guest on, and your YouTube viewers and your Instagram fans, we've had a lot of questions building up. So we've probably picked not even 10% of the best ones, and we just want to we just want to run through a few. So we're gonna do a bit of a quick fire question round for you, Ronnie. And
okay.
So they're going to be quite random. So we'll just work our way through them and see where we get. So, okay, we'll start with, aside from the 1998 Mr. Olympia, what year did you really feel that you leveled up with your physique?
2001, I did the Arnold Classic, and that was a good year for me also. Then 2003, after coming in kind of a little flat at the Olympia,
yeah,
I kind of bumped up the size and
yeah, you
put on
did.
a little. I was only like 245 at 2002 Olympia. And then the next year, it kind of seems like I added 40 pounds because I came in at 286. But what had happened was in like 02, I was ready at 270 something.
270.
And I was 277 when I took the photos in the gym.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you saw those. And everybody said, you should have came in like that. I'm like, yeah, I should have. But I continued to diet real hard, lost a lot of muscle, and I ended up coming in right around 245. And then kind of flattened me out a little bit, but I wasn't flat enough to lose. So the next year, I came in at 286. It kind of looked like I added 40 pounds of muscle when I didn't, because if you look at it like it was only like maybe like 10 pounds of muscle from 1 year to the next.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was already at 277, the year before. I just dieted too hard, and lost too much muscle that way.
What was the reason for that? Why did you come down from 270 to 245 for the 2002 Olympia?
Well, if you remember in 2001, I was over dieted. What happened was I tried to do 2 shows in a year, not knowing that the body only peaks once a year. So at the 2001 Mr. Olympia, I kind of exhausted myself the morning of the show. I woke up and I was so tired and so exhausted, I couldn't get out of bed. So to me, I felt like I was on the brink of death. So I called my nutritionist and said, "Hey, I done did something wrong. I'm feeling real bad, and I'm getting ready to go to the hospital." Because that's just how bad I felt. Felt like something wasn't right in the worst way. He's like, "No, don't do that. You can work too hard." He said, "Just grab a gallon of water and just drink as much as you can." So that's what I did. And I almost drank the whole thing. I think I did. I was that tired, that exhausted. But when I finished drinking it, I felt a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I was able to get out of bed and, get back to normal. Well, the show was that morning also. So I was kind of holding water. You drink a gallon of water, you're going to hold some water the morning of the show.
Yeah.
So they was like, "Oh, you need to show up a little bit better next year, even if you had to come in flat, just come in harder." I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." So that's what I did, I came in harder, but I was flat because, I was trying to just I kind of like overdid it basically. Because I was trying to get too hard,
You know, when you went to the judges for the feedback, which judge in particular did you go to who told you to come back the year after harder?
It's been so long ago, I don't even remember who it was, because I didn't really know the judges, by name or nothing.
Yeah.
I knew a few of them, but not that many of them. Could have been, they had European judges, judges from Europe. It could have been one of them or something like that, but it's been so long ago, I can't even remember who it was.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've always wondered, because you've said this a few times, and I always wondered who that was, whether there was someone in particular that said to you, because I think, you look great at the 2002 Olympia, you won it, but like I remember seeing the Battle for the Olympia a couple of weeks before, and you looked ready, and you were like, you looked so much better.
Yeah, I was 277 in those shots.
Crazy. Wow. Wow. I mean, I saw on your Instagram, and you said the 2004 Olympia, before you actually drew water, you were actually in your hotel room when you were posing for Chad, you were 300 pounds.
Yeah. Yep. Sure we did. Yeah, and he took pictures too of that.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever took pictures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the only time I ever took pictures of before show.
Chad Nichols. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
Thank you for having me.
Chad, now, this is a huge honor getting you two on together. Have we created a bit of a reunion here? Or, when was the last time you guys hooked up when you spoke? When was the last time?
I think maybe it's been a few months. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long while.
Yeah.
Everybody been busy.
Yeah.
So then, Chad, obviously.
What's that?
Sorry. So obviously, the huge, the big thing is, now we're in the kind of era of everyone having coaches, but back in the day, you were really one of the first kind of super coaches of the very, very top pros. How did you get to meet Ronnie, and how did that all come about?
It's kind of an interesting story. Both sides of it. I was actually a police officer at the beginning of my I guess working career. And I was a young kid. I was a police officer for 5 years, and Kim's career kind of took off. And so we started meeting all the guys. We met, everybody. She was under contract with Weeder. So we did a lot of traveling. And the one thing that I noticed was that these guys were kind of all over the place. Like conditioning on one show would be good, next show would be bad. I was talking to them, and they were just kind of trial and error. Like nothing was consistent. And so I started, thinking like, listen, there's an opportunity here. And so I decided to, take a shot. And I remember talking to my lieutenant, and I was like, hey, listen, man, I'm going to take a year's leave of absence. And I'm thinking about trying to become like a professional trainer to professional athletes. And he was like, man, that sounds like a hell of a deal. Like, that sounds like a really cool thing. Like, does that pay well? And I go, well, I don't think it pays anything right now, but I think the potential is there to make some money. And he's like, okay, well then that doesn't seem like such a good idea then to leave the police department. And I took a chance, took a year's leave of absence, and never looked back. And I worked. Obviously I worked with Kim. I worked with several amateurs, but in '97, I worked with Nasser El Sambadi, who was a very good friend of mine, and Paul Dillette. From there, at the Olympia, Flex Wheeler approached me. Then I worked with Flex in '98, and then it was actually Flex that ended up hooking up me and Ronnie, which was probably the dumbest decision that Flex ever made. But Flex would, but I've talked to Flex numerous times, and he said, nah, he said it was the smartest thing, because if I would have never introduced you, the world never would have been able to see Ronnie Coleman at his best. And, he was proud of making that decision, although I have a feeling he would have liked to have won the Olympia that year, but it never happened for him.
Yeah, he would have liked to have won the Olympia. Come on, man. Everybody wants to win the Olympia that's bodybuilding. That's why we do it. But, everything happened for a reason, though, And it did happen like that. I'll tell you how it happened with me. Me and Flex had always been kind of like friends. I think I met Flex back in like 93 or 94 at it was the French pro Grand Am. And he had just won an Arnold. What year was that? Was that 93?
93.
93. He had just won an Arnold, and he decided to do the tour. They had a European tour right after that. They had one in France and one in Germany. I'm like, damn, Flex looked pretty good. And he coming over here winning these shows, and he ain't even dieting. Flex was eating like hamburgers, and I'm dieting my ass off. So I said, I'm gonna go to Flex's room. I was still, drug free at the time and everything. And actually, I think this was 94. Did he win Arnold in 94 also?
That was Kevin.
No. Yeah, LeBron the following year.
Oh, okay.
It was probably 93 after the tour for the Olympia, maybe. Maybe it was after the tour at the Olympia.
Yeah, I went to Flex's room. He gave me a lot of advice on, bodybuilding, because I just got into the sport. I didn't know that much about it. I got in at 90. I started at 90 and turned pro in 91. So I'm still learning. And Flex taught me a whole lot of stuff about it. So in 98, we had stayed friends the whole time. In 98, he's like, man, who you working with for your diet and stuff? I'm like, nobody really. He said, I got this new guy named Chad. Why don't you give him a call? I'm like, oh, okay. So I called Chad, and he didn't call me back. So I called Flex. Hey, Flex. I called that dude Chad, man. He didn't call me back. He said, oh, man, he just like that. You just got to keep calling him. I'm like, okay. So I called him again. And I think this time he called me back like 2 or 3 days later.
I'm still like that. I'm still hard to get on.
Me too.
So that was that the first encounter you had with Chad then, and that was the first time you ever really spoke, Ronnie?
That was the first time I'd ever met Ronnie. Yeah.
Exactly. First time ever. That's first time ever me. I was getting ready for the Canada Pro Cup in '98, and I asked him a couple of questions. He's like, I ain't gonna be able to make it to Canada, so I can't help you out there. I just tell you what to do. He said, but you got the night of champion the next week, and I'll be there. so we'll be able to work, hands on. Of course, I went to Canada and won that show. Then I went to the Night of Champions. Chad showed up, and that's when we worked together. Our first time working together was at the Night of Champions in 1998. Of course, I won that show too.
And then, and I remember, but then after that show, like, that was the first time we got to, like, really construct a game plan for the off season.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember getting, like, because this was back in the day where you had to send pictures. And so we would, like, Ronnie would take pictures on Monday, overnight them to me. I would get them every Tuesday. Like, it was like clockwork. But I remember in the off season, this is before we started the diet for the Olympia. In the off season, his body literally just grew every set of pictures. Like,
wow,
it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
I take with a camera.
Yeah.
Send them to him. So they were, I go to Walgreens and develop them. Send them to him. Tonight them.
It was and I remember looking, like every friggin', like every time we got those pictures, like I'd be like, Kim, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Look at these damn pictures. And she's like, let me see the last week's pictures. And she's like, this is nuts. Like, this is nuts. And like, it was just progression. And I remember, like talking to, like me and Tom Prince was, really good friends at the time. And I'm like, he's like, what do you think? And they were asking like, how's Flex looking? And this is right when we were getting ready to start the diet for the Olympia, how's Flex looking? And because he was kind of the heir apparent, like, Dorian was competing.
Automatically win.
Yeah, and so everybody thought like he was going to win, and they thought maybe it was going to be a little bit of a battle between him and Nasser. They're like, how's Flex looking? How's Nasser looking? And I'm like, man, they both look really good, but man, I'm telling you, like, Ronnie looks crazy right now, like crazy. And they're like, yeah, but how does Flex look? And I'm like, Flex looks great, but I'm telling you, Ronnie looks nuts. and so he came out and guest posed for me. This is Tom Prince and Dennis Newman came out and guest post for me. And this was about 4 weeks out. This is about 4 weeks out from the Olympia. I had literally just picked up pictures from my P.O. box. And I was headed to the airport to pick these guys up. I had just received the pictures. It was 4 weeks out. And that was at the point I realized nobody was going to beat Ronnie that year.
Really?
And I got these pictures, and so we were talking and stuff, and I go, hey, man, I'm going to let you look at these, but I go, you got to keep these on the down low. Like, you got to keep these hush-hush. And I showed these, and they just kept passing them back and forth. And Tom was like, dude, does anybody know what he looks like? And I go, no, nobody knows what he looks like. He goes, you realize, like, nobody's going to beat him. Like, they're going to shit when they see him. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's just going to be crazy.
Yeah. So what was that? The thing is, this is back in the days when, you had one set of pictures per week. Now you got coaches sending pictures every 2 hours after every meal. So, I've seen, thing is though, I've seen some of the pictures and they're not the greatest kind of taken pictures, but even with that, you could still tell how good he was and how impressive he was looking from a 35 millimeter print.
Yeah.
100%. And here's the thing that he did, like, he took the pictures at the same time,
right,
every day, literally pretty much under the same lighting and the same atmosphere, most of the time in the same outfit. And so it was literally just, a repetitive set of pictures that showed the progression of how he got better. And it was in my opinion, it was a unique time. Obviously it's great now because you can see the pictures in minutes. Like, they take a set of pictures, they forward them over to you, and you get the pictures, and it's instantaneous, right? But there was something very unique about the fact of going through that process, being able to see everything, the timing aspect of it, because, you had to basically be able to time what you were doing based off of, you knew that he was going to get these pictures, and then it was going to be 24 hours before I got the pictures. Then we would make the adjustments and changes. And it was just this kind of unique process, back in the day. And sometimes, in a way, I don't think it's better, but you had to literally be like on the ball, like 100%. There was literally no room for error because if we kind of like messed up something, it took another 24 hours, to get the pictures to see, if we needed to make more changes. Yeah. So you had to be very repetitive and right on the money.
Yeah, it was on the phone a lot, like almost every day or every other day, something like that.
So
and we had the same hour. Ronnie was up late at night, so we worked out really well because he was up all night too. So.
Yeah, I have to go to bed till 4 a.m. every single night.
So that
But
prep from
I got to remember, I worked full time for the police department back then too.
So that prep from the Night of Champions to the Olympia, what were the biggest changes you implemented with Ronnie's entire kind of approach to his contest prep, Chad?
So we definitely ate more food. Like, we definitely ate more food. We changed, like, not only this, like everything was obviously very consistent, very, like structured in the off season. And I think Ronnie was doing everything pretty good, but we became like a machine in the off season. It was very repetitive, but the food amounts went up drastically. That's the one key that I remember.
Yeah, he pretty much changed everything that I was doing, basically. Everything, except for my workouts. He increased my cardio. I was doing only like 1 hour a day. I went from an hour to 2 hours.
2 hours.
I went from eating like 10 ounces of chicken and steak, turkey, to like 16 ounces. And it was the hardest thing I ever did in my whole entire life. I'm sitting there eating all this food, and I'm like, man, I can't get this down. I had to start out from like, I went from maybe 10 to like 13, then it was 14, then it was 15, and it was finally 16 ounces. It took me about maybe 2 months to be able to eat all that food like that. Yeah. That was the hardest thing I ever did in my life.
And it's one of the hardest things for everybody to do. Because everybody, and I've had this conversation with 100 athletes. Like everyone, I'm like, listen, we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do this. But I said, the food's going to be the toughest part. And they're like, listen, man, I could eat anything. I could eat nonstop. And 4 days later, they're like, there's no way in hell I can eat all this food. Like, no way.
It takes a long time to learn how to eat it. It's not easy. You think you can eat all that food because you think, I'm always hungry, and I can eat anything. You can't do it until you have to practice it. It's like practicing, like getting ready for something, You got to practice that too. It's like everything is practice till you really learn how to do it.
And the thing is too, like even when we got to that point, we had to keep adjusting stuff because Ronnie just kept getting bigger. So the bigger he got, the more, food his body demanded. And so we had to just keep constantly staying up with that. Body just kept coming forward. So the food amount obviously can't stay the same. One of the biggest mistakes most people make is they get into kind of a groove. The body may make steps forward, but if you don't adjust with it, the body will come right back to where it was. And so we had to constantly keep adjusting food. And Ronnie was unique because, he never really, like we didn't ever hardly eat fish. Steak and pretty much chicken, turkey. We didn't do virtually no vegetables, which I'm not really big on a lot of vegetables anyway during contests. I want to make sure that the carbohydrates are, utilized versus just filler. And so it was a very straightforward, approach that is very tough to do every day in and out, repetitive every single day.
Very hard to do. Very hard.
Was there a good variety of foods?
Yeah, I can tell you the foods right now. Grits in the morning. We split between rice and baked potatoes. We went steak, chicken, and occasionally boneless, skinless turkey breast. That was pretty much it. Like that was staples.
There was no big variety of nothing. I didn't even eat yams back in those days. It was just white potatoes and rice for carbs and grits.
Yeah,
that was it.
Did you have any digestion problems? Obviously, with the constant increase of food.
No, I didn't have any digestion problems because I had to train my body to do it. I didn't just try to do it all at one time. I couldn't go from eating 10 ounces to 16 ounces. I had to go from 10 to 12 to 13 to 14 to 15 until I got to 16. So once I trained my body to do it, it was okay. Once I got there, I was fine. It was no problem for me to eat it. But it took me, like I said, it took me 2 months, literally, to teach my body how to digest that food. Get used to digesting that amount of food. There was a lot of food. I was eating 6 times a day.
What was the kind of increase in size and strength from that, though?
Oh yeah, I went from what was I weighing in my last show? Like 230 to like 245. So I gained about 15 pounds of muscle.
First Olympia, I think we walked on stage that morning at 247. I think that was
At 247, my first Olympia.
Yeah.
And I had been like 230, 235 most of the time.
And it's interesting because now everybody's like so hung up on weight. And, I'll be like, listen, man, weight means nothing. I was like, dude, Ronnie was one of the biggest human beings ever to walk on stage. And I said, he won the Olympia at 247. And they literally argue with me. It's like, Ronnie never weighed 247. I'm like, he won the Olympia at 247. I can promise you. I can promise you.
Yep. I won the Olympia at 247. And the Arnold Classic.
Welcome to Nothing But a Podcast with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined for this pre-Olympia special, of course, 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman, and Andrew Jacked.
I see you got there already.
Yeah, so it's freezing here. It's freezing like crazy.
I'm looking forward to coming. I come in like 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, yeah? Awesome,
yeah,
cool.
I'll be there in 2 weeks.
I'll be here as usual.
How long have you been there?
I'm always here like 6 or 8 weeks out.
You've been there for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
so this is your first Mr. Olympia, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I got sick from the cold because I left Dubai at 35 degrees, and I got in here at 3 degrees. So I was like caught up in the cold, and I just finished my last medication yesterday. So I'm okay now.
You were at Bonner's Gym for the muscle show, weren't you?
Yeah.
Muscle show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you there working out, right?
Yeah, sir. Sir?
You work out there?
Yeah, of course. I'm based in Dubai.
Oh, okay.
I live out there. Yeah, I live out there in Dubai.
Were you in the Olympia? Did you go to the Olympia last year when it was in Orlando?
No. I wasn't even a pro yet. I got my pro card in Ohio March this year. You forgot.
Oh, okay. So
I was just having fun like last year.
Do you have a preference where the Olympia is held?
What?
Do you have a preference where the Olympia is held?
No.
Oh, okay. So how has your prep been? Any setbacks, anything like that? Injuries?
No. I'm going with the flow. I'm going with the flow because it's my first Olympia and it's my first experience. So I'm just like going there, just get some knowledge, just have fun. You know what I mean? Just cruise along it. Yeah.
How long have you been in the sport of bodybuilding now?
I think officially for 1 year this year now, because this was my first ever year of competing.
So how do you expect to place in this year's Olympia?
I don't know. Like, I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea because it's my first time, yeah. And I mean, I can't compare myself to most of these guys who have been off season since last year or earlier this year. They've been a long off season, and me, I'm just like back to back shows, and health, deterioration here and there. But I'm not like worried. I will just take whatever that comes out, give my best, and it's a fire run this year. Yeah. Because I had no off season this year.
How many shows did you do this year?
3 shows. The Olympia will be my 4th show.
Oh, so did you win all 3 shows?
I smashed them.
He did. Ronnie, he did. I could attest to that.
No, I was in the UK when he won because I handed him the trophy, so I saw that one.
Yeah, I won
Dallas. I kind of saw some of that,
Yeah.
You probably hit it right on the head. I think you smashed him too.
Exactly.
So what has been your?
Show, so yeah, it's good.
What do you think is your biggest sacrifice in the sport? No, you have many. What do you think is the biggest?
Everything. I'm not gonna lie, everything. Like, bro, hats out to you guys and everyone who's in this like business in this industry. Hats out to all of them because it's not gonna.
My biggest was always my family. I didn't get a chance to connect with my family when I was preparing for the Olympia.
Yeah, I know. I'm not married yet.
How long have you been actually preparing for the Olympia?
I will say, I don't know. I can tell.
Did you take a break after the UK show?
Yeah, after the UK show, I think my body stopped, and I took a 3 weeks break, and
okay,
I got back to prep. I was doing good, but when I came in here on the 8th of November, on the 9th of November, I was hit with cold, and I was just like pushing through, like nice and easy, just trying to just still going on with my trainings.
Yeah,
but not like crazy, not like the whole crazy thing. But I was still like pushing.
Yeah.
But I think now I'm good because I just got my last shot of antibiotics like yesterday and medication. So now I'll go all throttle and see what happens.
Legendary. I'm legendary. Yeah, you know. Yeah. I'm legendary. I'm taking the crown. That's why I came. Cause I came to reign. Know the name. Nothing can stop me. I can't be contained. I was born ready. I'm legendary. This is my legacy. I'm made for this shit. This is my moment. I was born for this shit. I make it rumble when I show my grit. I am the raw. I am the real. I am the strong. I am the great. Yeah. Notorious, victorious, I'm legendary.
The time is now for you to build your own legacy, powered by Ronnie Coleman's Signature Series.
So have you always wanted to be a bodybuilder? You know?
Nah.
How'd you get into the sport? We all got crazy stories.
Yeah, because I was just, I just like lifting weights and just
yeah, same with me.
And just having fun, doing collabs and meeting athletes and rest of them. But from the positive vibes I got from people, they said just give it a shot, and I'm like, okay. So I started in March. I got my pro card. August. I mean, I was preparing to go to Miami on holidays, and in May. And Flex called and told me, bro, we're doing the Texas Pro. And I'm like, bro, I'm just about to go for holidays. He's like, no, we're doing the Texas Pro and we're going for the Olympia. And I'm like, okay, no problem. So
brilliant.
So I flew.
Is this your first year in the sport?
First year.
Damn. Just like that.
I got my pro card in March in Ohio this year.
Dang.
Yeah, so I flew into Vegas in I think in June, yeah, June, yeah. I flew in June, I think 6th of June, and we prepped.
What job did you have before you started bodybuilding?
Like professionally, I'm an electrical engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I like the sport. I lift weights and I do stuff. So. Coming in, we prepped for Vegas for Texas, and after the video of Steve Burger like checking me out in Dragon's Lair,
yeah,
went viral, and people were like,
damn.
Oh, okay, he's coming, and people were saying, some some negative stuff, but I told them I did an interview with Muscle Development, and I told them, hey, I'm coming to win the Texas Pro. And they're like, nah, hell no. So I got there and I won. And I told them on stage that I would go over to UK. And I went there and I won. But
so you didn't compete last year?
No.
This your first year competing?
Yes, sir.
Oh shit. I thought what I was doing. Damn.
I'm just a regular like sports guy you see in the gym. Like he's just like an influencer, like I travel, I meet athletes, do some collabs. I love to train a lot though. I love to train and do some crazy things. Like like last year June, I went over to Santa Monica and Gold Gym because they
Yeah.
had the Gold Gym like dumbbell, the
Yeah.
350s, and they said only one person has been able to pull it, and that was like Big Boy. So it didn't. I called him on the phone. I told him, bro, I'm going over there to break a record. So I went over there and I repped the shit out of the dumbbell for 12 reps on my left hand. And that was when I went like viral. So I'm like, all right, I think I'll give this part a shot and see what happens.
Okay. Did you make any changes in your diet getting ready for the Olympia, or just keeping the same pretty much from what you did in Dallas in the UK?
No, I will say because my stomach is so small and sensitive, and I have a high level of allergies, especially to food. So Flex and George haven't been able to crack the code yet because we've got no off season. So we are just sticking to what my body can handle. Like I barely can eat 6 square meals. I just eat 4 meals and one shake, and that's like five, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are just like sticking to that until after the Olympians. Then we just go for a full off season and start afresh from the very beginning.
That's kind of what I did too. But I wanted to add one meal, so I had to get up in the middle of the night while I was sleeping to
No, I
eat.
can. No, I cannot. I can't. I try to eat 5 meals. I think the first time in January I was here
Uh-huh.
for the higher prep and I got sick for about 8 days.
Oh,
My
damn.
body just couldn't. So yeah. So we started on 4 meals and one shake, and that's it.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you have to get in order to get big, you have to eat big.
I know.
But
I know, but
do you think you can get up in the middle of the night and eat a meal and go back to sleep?
nah, hell no. Hell no.
You can't do it.
Nah, I'll get sick. I'll get
You
sick.
get
I'll
sick?
get
Wow,
Yeah, I'll get sick.
it bothers me a bit. Do you have any training partners? Well, you say just you
Uh,
and your girl right now, huh?
yeah, because you know, I'm like a diesel engine, yeah. Like the first half an hour of training, like of working out, I'm like still like warming up.
Yeah.
It takes about half an hour to 45 for my body to kick in,
Wow.
and then I start to train like properly.
Wow.
So like training with people, I've always been when like when I'm ready to start, everyone is already
Yeah,
slacking.
already into it.
That was why like I was like if you look at my clips, I was always training with Larry Wells in Dubai because I think
Yeah,
we had almost the same thing, and yeah, but having a partner to train is really hard. I haven't found one yet, but I do train with some like I tell people to train me and push me, you know, but that's the only way. So, but everything will be on check. I think when I start the off season, I'll try to get a trainer. And
Oh, okay, so how old are you right now?
sir,
How old are you right now?
37 in December.
How long you think you're gonna compete? I won my first Olympia at 34.
I think for now I've achieved what the sport has. I mean, I won my first pro show and got qualification for the Olympia.
Yeah.
It's in the books. I got my pro card already, and I won the Arnold Classic. So I think the only thing missing is just the Olympia. So I get the Olympia, and it's a wrap because I don't think there's anything more to win. It's just like repeating it all over.
What about multiple Olympia titles, like maybe 5, 6?
It's still the same thing. Like for me, I'm an electrical engineer. I can't go back to school again and study electrical engineering. No, I just have to advance. Exactly. So for me, it's just to accomplish what needs to be accomplished and maybe create a record that no one has, because I don't think anyone has my record in 7 months having the pro card.
No.
Yeah, no one has it.
No.
So,
It took me almost 2 years to get to the Olympia.
yeah.
So I started in 1990, and I made my first Olympia in 92.
Yeah, I know your record. That's everything.
So what do you think about your competitor, Big Rami?
Rami is he's a force to reckon. He's something else because I see him every day in Dubai.
Yeah.
You know, we're training in the same gym. He's something else, bro. He's an animal.
So who you think your biggest competitor is in the Olympia?
If Rami plans on competing next year, I think I'll be so happy because honestly, next year when I'm coming, I think everyone will be fighting for second place.
So what do you see the top three at this year's Olympia?
The same thing. Nothing changes. The same thing.
Where you think you're gonna be at in this year's Olympia?
I don't know, but definitely I think I'll crack the top 10.
Yeah,
I'm not looking at our place. I'm not looking at our place. I'm going there just to be happy and just have fun with the guys, and that's it.
Okay. All right, then. I think that's about all I wanted to ask you. We got another guy we got to interview here in a few minutes. So all I can say is good luck to you. You look good.
Thanks a lot.
You have Olympia potential. You can win the Olympia for sure. Quite sure you already know that, but
I know.
I think it's going to take just a little time. I don't know how many years you plan on investing in this bodybuilding thing, though.
Stay tuned because next year I'm coming.
Fantastic.
But you're already coming now. you pretty much here, you know.
Nah.
So I think maybe in the next couple of years you can probably do some major damage.
I'm just having a test run like this year, but next year will be damage.
Real test?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next year will be damage, real damage, so no problem.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good luck to you. Appreciate you coming on the show and
that's a lot.
The little trouble we had, with
it's like
I don't know what's going on with this thing. I don't have no engineering degree. My degree is in accounting. If we were working on some tax problems, I could probably figure that out real easy.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. These computers, I'm not. That's not my specialty.
Yeah, me too. I'm used to the mobile phone. It's faster and easier.
Yeah. You got a point there.
Yeah, mobile phone.
All right, then we're gonna let you get on back to what you were doing. John, do you want to ask any questions to him?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I just can't wait to see him because we'll be at the Olympia, so I can't wait to see Andrew on stage, see what he looks like. I want to see him in the flesh.
Yeah. Yep, like you said, stay tuned.
Thanks a lot.
We're gonna find out how you stack up against the big boys.
Yes, sir.
Andrew Jack, thank you so much for coming on Nothing But a Podcast, and we look forward to see you in Vegas in just 2.5 weeks.
Thanks a lot,
bro. Yeah, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Good luck, bro.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Kick ass and have fun.
Yes, sir. I will, of course.
Bye-bye.
Okay, then. Yeah. Have a good one, bro. Thanks for everything.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Welcome back to Nothing But a Podcast with me, your host, Giles Thomas, here at the On the Rise Media Studio. And we're, of course, joined by 8-time Mr. Olympia, the GOAT, Ronnie Coleman, and very special guest, Milos Sajev. Milos, Ronnie, thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys. Hi, Ronnie.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, I'm delighted to be on your podcast. And, I was thinking, like, how long do I know Ronnie? And then I went back in the memory. Since 1991, right?
Yeah. Hong Kong. Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, exactly. That's the first time I've seen you, because you competed at Nationals in USA that year, and you didn't place that well. But then you went to the World Championship and won.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I remember going with you, Flex, JJ Marsh, Frank Hillebrand. There was like a bunch of us going. And I'll never forget this. The first time I actually see you was in the gym. You were doing a seated dumbbell overhead extensions with 100 pounds. 100-pound dumbbell. Listen. So it was like instantly, oh my God, he's like just absolute freak. But listen, I'm so happy to be a part of your podcast.
Yeah, thank you for being on.
I mean, do you know something I realized actually the other week from your Instagram, Milos? I thought Ronnie Coleman's first pro show was the 1992 Mr. Olympia, but it wasn't, was it? It was earlier in the year, wasn't it, Milos?
Yeah, actually, that was the times when I could still beat Ronnie. In 1992, we competed in Chicago. That was your pro debut, right?
Yeah.
Chicago '92, and
Yep.
then Night of the Champions.
Yep.
And we went to Finland for Mr. Olympia.
Yep.
Yes, I remember that was humble beginnings for Ronnie, but you could see. I mean, I don't know if you can speak openly about it in this podcast, but fact, I mean, natural for years. I mean, he
Yep.
competed probably in about 15 IBB Pro shows for years, qualified for Mr. Olympia, natural. But people would not want to believe it. Right? So, and Ronnie, I'm going to remind you of this one. I don't know if you remember this one. You beat me in '95 in Canada, and I still think that at that time you were still drug-free. In '96, we competed at Canada. You won. You beat the Flex.
Yeah.
And then we went to Florida, and we were in this tight stage. And I asked you, I said, Ronnie, if you still tell me you're drug-free, I'm going to push you off the stage. You remember? And you were laughing. You said, no more. Okay, so that's my recollection of us competing back then. And really, I'm going to ask you for this opinion also. 1996. Now, when you look back at the Mr. Olympia tapes, you placed sixth only, but there was the moments you were standing right next to Dorian, winner of the show. And I was like, okay, wait a second, compare. I really think that even in 96, if they gave you a better look, you could have placed higher. Then 97, again, you placed like ninth, I was 10th.
Yeah.
So you were always like there, but nobody really realized, okay, this is the guy that could be dominating.
No, I snuck up on everybody.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, but going into that 96 Olympia, I'm just curious because this is already. I just posted that video from Florida backstage when you were there with Vicky Gates, and just relax. I mean, there was monster. This is the monster that we all got to know later. But you were that monster back in '96.
Yeah, I was pretty big back then too. Like I said, I got sick that year, and I think you had told me something about when I stood next to Dorian, I looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Somebody had something to me about it.
Yeah, this is no joke, and really then '97 going with you to European Grand Prix Tour, and I mean again, a lot of people don't realize that we do have 6 shows in 6 different countries in a matter of like a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, that was 7. That was 7 shows.
7 shows that year.
In 11 days.
And you won that last one in Russia. I remember very well because you know how they go. Judges usually copy Mr. Olympia placing. So first show was in Hungary.
Yeah.
And again, like you were 6, I was 7.
Yeah.
And Chris Cormier was even behind us. Then next day, Chris beat Nasser somebody in England. And Nasser was second at the Olympia, right?
I was there.
Yeah.
And
I was there.
You start getting into the picture. But people don't realize, I mean, there was much closer. There was actually competition. And they worked us. They gave us so many comparisons back in the day.
Yeah.
But you could see Ronnie coming, and that the Russian show, it was all over. I really think that after that Russian show, nobody could deny you anymore.
Yeah, I was pretty much nonstop after that.
Yeah. There is one show you lost after the Russia. You remember that one? There was '98. San Francisco. Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, that's the only show that you lost after that one.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
So do you know how many times you actually competed against each other? Have you ever done a tally, Milos?
No, I have no idea. I have really no idea. It's just like, you know how it is. When you can say that in your career you had a victory over Ronnie Coleman, this is spectacular. Doesn't matter that he was natural for like 5 years that he competed. Yeah, but no, it was actually no contest. I mean, I do remember that one. In '95 Houston, I beat you.
Yeah.
And then in Canada next week, you beat us all, and that's when you start really moving up in placing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm. I mean, Ron and I've been on many tours. We've been to Barcelona, guest posing and all kinds of stuff. But European Grand Prix tours were always the best. And listen, Ronnie was always super strict, and I was, quite strict because I thought that the only way that I can sneak up on somebody, they're gonna like Lee Priest, he's gonna start eating a cheesecake and everything else, right? So I could pass by him. But you kept your diet constantly.
Yeah.
Except that you brought something new to the Russian Grand Prix. I heard the story with you and Kevin. You had vodka.
Yep. That was Kevin. I didn't bring that. Kevin brought that.
But this is the only time you used it?
Yeah, that was the only time I used it.
Yeah, actually, I have to say this about Kevin. Kevin, every time when he was in my gym, Coliseum gym, and said, "Hey, can I get you something?" The only thing that he always asked me is martini. Serious. So he's known for that. But listen, as you know, Kevin is one of the best ever. You guys clashed so many times. I'm sure that you have a greatest respect for Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
Also, he is uncrowned Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Sorry, so Ronnie, what year was it when you had the the Roman photo shoot with Milos and Kevin? Where was that and what year?
That was 99.
99.
Yeah.
Olympia. After the Olympia, they was on the tour. We did a tour every year,
Yeah. There was only 2 shows.
Yeah. After like 98, when Wayne left, it kind of faded out a lot.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
It really faded out when Wayne left, actually. We used to have used to have like 5-6 shows every year, and then after like 98, 99, it went down to like 2 shows.
Yeah.
Lucky to get 3.
Do you remember
You see, Jarvis, you know that I competed pretty much in every show. I started that trend, but then Ronnie started going on every show. Like, goddamn.
Do you think you both were at your peak around the 99 British Grand Prix? Because that was, you had Kevin of Rome, Flex Wheeler at 256. You were looking the biggest you'd ever looked in 99, Milos. You had Nasser, Marcus Rule. Would you say that was when you were both kind of really peaking in your career?
Well, for me, yeah, that was my biggest and probably best, even though I liked my 97 version, but I was just not big enough, so I was not competitive, right? So to be competitive, I mean, stepping on the stage with Ronnie, Flex, Kevin, Nasser, Marcus, right? I had to be big, so for that Grand Prix touring, I said, okay, let me just see how far I can be. But at my biggest, I have that video standing next to Ronnie, and I looked like a little kid. And it was ridiculous. When you're proud of, like, whoa, look at that. I was 255 on the stage. And then I've seen a video, me alone, and I said, man, I look huge. And here it is. Ronnie stands next to me, and it disappears. But Ronnie, okay, 98 Olympia. I was in a locker room with you. At the pre-judging, before the pre-judging, actually, how we always look each other. I mean, you didn't look super shredded or dry. By the end of the pre-judging, when we came back to the same locker room, I don't know if you remember, I asked you, I had to actually touch your hamstring, and because it was dry as a bone. It was like nothing, like metal. Do you remember that? 1998, beginning of the Olympia, you were not in running, not first, second, third, fourth call out.
Nope.
Yeah, Giles, you are a historian, so you remember. But I remember very well because he was not contender, and then Ronnie started coming in and started getting harder, and by the end of the prejudging, there was already a clear winner. Even though at the time Flex was such a huge favorite, nobody would count on Ronnie being able to beat him.
You should have. Yeah, you thought I looked bad the morning of 98. You should have saw the night before.
You told me.
I completely smoothed out completely.
Yes.
I had no cuts, none.
I remember that very well.
I ate too much food.
Yeah.
Overcall.
Yeah, you spilled over, and I remember the other thing that after taking diuretics, you were cramping up like crazy. You thought you were gonna have to go to the hospital.
I didn't cramp that bad that morning though.
No, the night before, Friday.
Oh no, I didn't cramp at all the night before. You know why? I didn't have any diuretic things.
Really? I mean,
none.
I do remember because you were telling me like, yeah, you didn't think even you could compete. But that was 98.
98, yeah, 98. I took Chad gave me something in a cup. He never told me what it was, you know.
I know. This is.
I started like it was like midnight, you know, right before I went to bed. He gave it to me.
Yeah. Yes.
And I thought I was done. I just oh well, another 19th place if I'm lucky. And I started going to the bathroom like 1, 2 in the morning. When I woke up that morning, I didn't even look in the mirror because I was so depressed about what I saw the night before.
Yeah.
So I had no idea how I looked. And every time I went past the mirror, I wouldn't even look at myself. I was still depressed. I didn't even know how I looked when I got on stage.
Yeah.
So when they wasn't calling me out, I was like, okay, yeah, here we go again. You know, I didn't get called out for like I think it was third or fourth call out.
Fourth, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, here we go again. You know, I'm back at 19th place.
Yeah, well, let me tell you.
Like I say, I think I started getting harder as I posed.
Yes, it was crazy. I think that conditioning for me was my all-time favorite for you.
Yeah,
2001 Arnold Classic, yes. You were also phenomenal, but I think that 98 Olympia conditioning, nothing beats that.
No, nothing. That's all. That's what I always say.
So Milos, do you not prefer the 2003 mega freak look?
For me, yeah, that's what we talk about, and now I'm going to say this in front of Ronnie. Okay, who would you give victory if on the same stage was 98, 99, or 2003 Ronnie Coleman?
I always go back to 98.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said this many, many times. You know, listen, you were big enough, and symmetry, proportion, aesthetics, definition, cuts, dryness, conditioning, everything was off the chart. So yeah. I agree with him, you know. So, but I also know the way you train and to build muscle, to be the best in the world, and just push the envelope more and more and more. But that brings that picture. Is bigger always better? So we heard from the horse's mouth. He believes that 98 Ronnie Coleman would be 2003 version. Giles, we had that argument before, right?
We did. I do like the 99, but for me, yeah. I would either choose 99 or 2003 over 98. Sorry. Sorry. I just think the 99, you were wider. Your shoulder to waist was just even more pronounced. Your hamstrings were improved. But I just love that 2003 look. I can't imagine the shock of everyone backstage when you were walking to the stage, or when you hit that first pose and the audience response when you were 40 pounds heavier than in 2002 when I was at that one. But I just can't imagine the audience reaction when they, like in Dorian in 93, when people were seeing something they'd never ever seen before.
Yeah. Well, we've seen the preview because Ronnie would come for photo shoots in Coliseum Gym.
Yeah.
And that one winter.
Yeah.
I think this is the freakiest I have ever seen you in my life. And this is when I don't know if I told you, if you listened to one of my interviews, Jake was right next to me when you walk in, and when you walk in through that door, there was like eclipse, like lights were shut. You blocked the light, and he looked at you, and he just goes, "A fucking freak," and that was it. That was it. He lost that contest there, and you know how Gunther, you can erase the smile off his face, especially because he beat you in that GNC show the year before. Yeah. So he was really counting on beating you again before you came in. He was like, also like, as soon as you came in, that smile was gone forever.
Hey, I remember that photo shoot like it was yesterday.
Yes. Okay. Well, but here is another thing, because I want to say this. I texted you like about 3-4 months ago. If you use a Pro 10 for the show, and I say, yeah, you always did.
Yeah.
Because here, you maybe don't remember this. 2002, Amsterdam. I was there with Chris Cormier, and we picked you up at the airport.
Yeah.
And then we were driving to the hotel, and then Chris asked you, "Hey, Ronnie, you have a Pro 10?" And you say, "Pro 10? Why would I have Pro 10? Hell no, I was born with it." I swear to God, that's what you said. So I figure out that, oh shit, Ronnie's never used it. That's why, I asked you, I texted you because I just wanted to, because what I remember, you didn't use it. And then I do remember also, like, back when we competed at 90 Finnish Grand Prix and whatever else, and backstage, you take your clothes off, you had all kinds of like white goddamn cream something. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So there's like no way that you can put the cream on your body if you have a Pro 10. So really, I didn't think that you had, but now that you said, oh well, I guess I just didn't realize. You probably didn't want to share it with Chris.
I was
second on that show.
I was just messing around with Chris. I was just giving him a hard time. But I used it. I had to get the show. I had to get Marcus Rule to put it on my back one time for me. Yeah.
I didn't know.
He sent his wife to do it though.
Sean Ray is in the house.
Yeah.
One of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. A lot of people don't know this. Sean, I told you this already, but my first Olympia win was your routine.
1998.
1998 was Sean Ray's routine from one of his Olympia placings.
Yeah, back in the day, man.
Like second or third, and I copied his routine pose for pose.
I got to tell you, Ronnie, when we saw you backstage, I think
nobody knows that.
I forgot my routine in '98 when you got warmed up.
Yes, Sean.
New York.
I stole every move you had, just about.
Yeah,
there were a few poses I couldn't do, so I hit the most muscular.
Yeah, because you're too big. You're too big to do all the poses.
Big to do some of those poses, so I threw in the most muscular right there.
Well, you get an A for effort, man. Thank you.
Yeah, buddy. That was my first and only routine that I did, actually.
All right. Yeah, because the rest you just raised the roof, baby.
Yeah, and they were choreographed by somebody else.
Yeah, I know you worked with a posing coach too.
Yeah, exactly.
So, guys, I'm guessing the first time you stepped on stage together was at the 1992 Olympia in Helsinki. But when was the first time you actually met?
Yeah.
Well, Ronnie, you just barely turned pro right before that, right, Ronnie? I hadn't met you before then. I didn't go to the 91 NPC Nationals, which Bob Chick was telling me was the greatest of all time. I missed that one, 1991. That was you, Lavroni, Paul DeMeo, Flex Wheeler.
Yeah.
Was Bob in it? I think Bob was there, right?
Bob was there.
Cormier.
Chris
Cormier
was there.
Yeah, he was arguing with me that was the greatest. I thought that 87 was because I actually won that one. But yeah, the 91 was stacked with talent. I missed it. I don't know where I was. I was coming off of that. I was coming off the Arnold Classic win in 91. And, of course, it was the 91 Olympia where Lee Haney retired. And I think they had the Nationals after that. And so I probably was on tour making appearances, which is why I missed that show. So I didn't see Ronnie coming. I mean, when I saw Ronnie, he was standing there at the airport in Helsinki, Finland. I think you were with Vicky. And I'm like, what are you doing here?
Myself. I was alone.
Oh, you were by yourself? Okay, yeah. I'm kind of like, how did you get here? Like, what are you doing here?
I just won the World Championship in October, and that qualified me for the Olympia.
Yeah, so it was a surprise.
To this day, I showed up, and we backstage warming up, and Sean Ray took off his shirt, and he started doing push-ups against the wall, and his chest is crazy separated, and I was like, oh shit. I'm in the wrong league.
It's amazing how the roles reversed. How the roles reversed, man.
That was my rude awakening to the professional league.
I think we've all been there before. I remember the same year, I could say, in 91, right before you got there in Orlando, when I saw Haney make the comeback after the drug test in 1990. Yeah. Haney shows up backstage, and in 91, I was just blown away by the progress that Lee Haney made from 1990 to 1991, because I was pretty confident coming off the
You were shredded. You were shredded in 90, and you should have won. Everybody said you should have won that year, and everybody else was off. You know. And you were one of the only guys that was shredded.
Yeah, I think my back kind of came. I lost a little bit of back thickness, which is what was Haney's greatness. So I became a little narrow. I think it cost me. Labrada surprised me, but yeah, when you were backstage in '92, I actually didn't know that you were coming there to compete. I was like, "What are you doing here?" And of course, by the time you actually showed me who you were in '96. A lot of people don't realize, but you actually got a top 3 call out with me and Dorian in '96. It was brief. Yeah. But I saw the pictures after '96, and I thought, you're gonna be trouble down the road. And of course, '97, I think you fell down a placement or two, but '98.
No, I fell down. Yeah, like 3 places. I went to 9th.
Yeah, but '98, you dried out nicely, and that's where everybody said, "Oh shit, there's no turning back." I started contemplating retirement that year.
Sean, were you at the 1998 Night of Champions, Sean?
In the 1990?
Were you in the Did you see the 1998 Night of Champions that Ronnie won? Because that was a precursor to how he looked at Olympia that year.
Correct. I didn't see it, but I heard all about it. So I knew Ronnie was on the way. I had bigger fish to fry. I actually thought that because Dorian was out and because I had beaten Nasser El Sambadi previous years, that I was cocksure that I was going to be one of the guys to be considered. Of course, I trained with Flex Wheeler, so I knew Flex was arguably going to be one of the guys. But I think I called Ronnie 100-1 long shot that year. I just didn't think I didn't think he was going to leapfrog over everybody, and
I didn't either.
And all he did was did the homework. Huh? You didn't either?
I didn't either. I just wanted to make top 5. That was my goal, because I'd never made the top 5 in any Olympia.
But you had already beaten Flex. But you had already beaten Flex.
Yeah, I beat Flex at Canada.
Toronto.
In 1996, I think.
That caught my attention, Ronnie, because I was training with Flex off and on, and I knew Flex was like, to me, Flex was the guy that was going to be the next Mr. Olympia. You probably thought so too.
Of course I did.
Yeah, so they had already beat him.
They had already paid Flex to guest pose at the women's Miss Olympia, and they paid him Mr. Olympia guest pose money.
Yeah, so you
big money.
You assumed it was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. I thought it was foregone conclusion. I'm quite sure most of the guys did too. Because Flex had already got second. What twice? I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't think. Here's the thing about your win, Ronnie, in '98 is that nobody disputed it. I mean, Flex was disappointed and turned around and put his hands on his waist and all that shit, but it was undisputable, right? Like, we all kind of conceded.
No, that actually happened in '99
when he turned around.
Yeah.
But in '98, didn't he take his medal off?
No, he didn't. He was. I think he thought it was like, it was like one of those things that, it was a surprise, and it was one of those things that maybe they had made a mistake, and he was gonna correct it next year for sure.
Yeah, '99.
So he wasn't that upset,
Okay.
In '99, he lost it.
Yeah, but in '99, the door was still closed because it looked like you got so much bigger in '99.
I did.
How much?
I put on 10 pounds.
Yeah. So
I went from 245 to 255.
I think that's when I started contemplating retirement. Seriously, no joke. But I had gotten in '98. I was a little distracted. I had gotten engaged the night of the Olympia after you'd won.
Yeah, I remember.
I think you guys were up there doing. You were still out there. I think they were still trying to get you off the floor when I was actually getting engaged backstage.
I was out for a little while there.
Yeah, I had presented my my then girlfriend with a ring backstage at the Olympia, and it was short-lived because I thought I was done with bodybuilding after you won that show. And by January, I realized I wasn't done with bodybuilding, and it was still my first love. And I took the ring back, and I broke up with the girl. And I went right back to bodybuilding again. I just thought, like, it's over. But then, after a little bit of calories and looking at the pictures and feeling like, okay, I could see where I got beat by the bigger guys, I wasn't ready to walk away.
Yeah.
I hung around for a few more years.
I've done that, too. I've done that same thing.
Yeah. Giles, what do you want to talk about, man?
I'm just listening. I'm loving hearing all these stories, guys. This is so cool. This is very cool.
Oh yeah, we got some stories now.
I got a first class seat to watch what Ronnie did, and I tell you, when I do my seminars around the world, and people come up to me and they say, "Do you think I can do this? Do you think I can do that?" Ronnie doesn't know this, but literally every seminar, his name comes up from the standpoint of when you think you can't do something, just look at Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman was a pizza delivery boy. Ronnie Coleman was a football player. Ronnie Coleman was a cop. He had all these other things going on in his life, and he went from last place to first place. When you talk about a study of consistency and endurance, where most guys would quit. Flex Wheeler was ready to quit when he didn't win the Nationals. I think one year he was ready to quit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I use Ronnie as a study of consistency because it was something that he never set out to be Mr. Olympia. Didn't think he was going to be Mr. Olympia.
Nope, sure didn't.
He just kept grinding away until he won.
Yeah. The only thing that saved me is that I had a passion for it.
Right.
I loved doing what I was doing. So I would have done it for free, basically.
We found that out in 2001,
I had a job working full-time.
Ronnie, we knew in 2001 at the press conference that you would have done it for free, because that was where I got all fired up. Remember that, Giles?
I was there.
I was trying to say that everybody should be getting paid money, right? I think Ronnie thought maybe I was trying to minimize what he did, but what I was trying to say, Ronnie, you're gonna get your money. I got my money. What the federation as a whole needs to do is give everybody else some money. That's kind of what I was trying to say, but it wasn't coming across.
Got together on our own and presented that to them. We wasn't together. If
it was happening in real time.
Yeah, it happened in real time. If we would have planned that together and get behind closed doors and then came with them with that, I think we'd have made more progress than we made.
Yeah, I think I was triggered by the judge, the late Deshae Santos, Deshae Ebert. She passed away. I think I was triggered because she was opening these doors that I was kind of like this, right? I wasn't ready for it. And then once she started opening those doors, I kind of like took the gloves off and like, screw it. I'm quitting anyways. I'm done. I've had as much bullshit as anything. And then Ronnie got sucked into it because I started.
I thought everybody was attacking me because I was winning.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know Sean was trying to, get more money for us all. So I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Well, because you had gotten nothing for many years, right? I mean, you were used to it. It was like part of the game.
Yep, exactly. That was a lot of shows. I thought I should have played a whole lot better than I did. But I didn't complain.
Yeah. So here's an analogy. Right now in today's news, the women's pro soccer players have been fighting for equal pay.
Yep,
and they weren't getting it. The women's pro soccer team was winning U.S. gold medals for consecutive years where the men were not. but the men were getting their lion's share, and the women bitched, moaned, and complained long enough that they just reached a $24 million settlement for these ladies.
Now they got equal play also.
That's what I'm saying. So what happened for them is what I was trying to do for the men.
For bodybuilding, yeah.
But I couldn't do it as an individual.
Yeah, exactly. I think if we got together behind closed doors and then presented it, that way, where we were all together, we all knew what was going on. I think we'd have got something.
Yeah, I think divided, we couldn't really accomplish much, and that's kind of what they wanted. Keep us all separate.
That's what happened. That's what happened. We're all divided.
Yeah, but that was it for me. The 01 press conference kind of set the tone for the next chapter of my life, and it was not because I wasn't getting my lion's share. It was just because I saw there was such a disparity from winning to losing, and using everyone's name and country representation to promote the show, and the athletes weren't getting the line, getting compensated. That's all.
Yeah. What that was your last year competing, 2001?
Yeah, that's kind of what took the Band-Aid off. Like I could have probably gone for a couple more years. Yeah. But I think for me the passion, because there just wasn't enough progress being made on the athlete side. I just didn't see any avenues where we could make more money or revenue share or something. Nothing was happening, and I'd been doing it for 13 years.
And you had been at the top for all those 13 years too.
Yeah, and I got to a place, Ronnie, where I was like, how do I turn the corner? How do I get it? Every year seemed like Groundhog Day. It was the same thing, preparing for the Olympia, and I kind of got bored.
You kind of lose your passion.
Yeah, and I also
realized you gotta have that for this.
Yeah, and here comes Jay Cutler, right?
Yeah.
So trying to make that next chapter was everything kind of got fast tracked when Deshay at the press conference opened that can of worms. And listen, I never meant to put you on the spot. I don't think we ever had a chance to talk about that press conference.
No, I forgot all about it, Sean.
No, but I'm reminded because it looked like Kevin went on the offensive towards you, and I was on the offensive towards you. But
I'm thinking everybody else against me.
Yeah, and you were the champ.
Yeah.
Well, you have the biggest target, and I think we were targeting you, trying to get you off your game. I mean, but at the same time, some of the misinterpretation of the takeaway was that we were trying to take something from you, when in fact we were just trying to get the federation to give more on the bottom. If we could beef up the bottom pay, it secures what we got going on up here, but everybody gets something. I mean, to call yourself a Mr. Olympia competitor and to be advertised as an athlete that people are paying money to come and see, and then to go home with nothing because you place 11th, because you place 12th. I would rather see them have 10 athletes and all 10 athletes get a lot of money than to have only 10 athletes out of 25 athletes get paid. It's just it wasn't something I was on board with.
All the athletes get paid.
Yeah, even the All-Star games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like I said, we just wasn't together on it, and didn't get anything resolved about it.
What I was told was, have your own show and you can do your own thing. And so I created my show. You created your show. Gaspari has a show coming up in Maui. Linda Murray has a couple of shows. Keith has his classic. So I think it was a good thing. Jay Cutler's got 3 or 4 shows. I mean, I think it was a good thing because it made us more responsible for how we feel. How can we give back? And by creating my own show, I'm able to kind of do and construct what I want for the athletes and pay it forward.
Yeah, me too. I've had everybody come to my show. I'm going on my 25th year this year.
I know. I emceed your show a couple of times.
Yeah. So you know how we do things. Yeah, you know how we do things. It's always a great show, and that's always a good time. So
yeah, I saw now on the women's side, Janet Leung, she just promoted a show. Sid Gillen has a show coming up in May. I believe Andrea Shaw is working with John Simmons on shows. So it's great to see the athletes actually having shows and having a say in this.
Yeah, a lot of athletes having shows now. A lot of them.
Sean, when did you feel that Ronnie, or get a feel that Ronnie was actually going to become as dominant as he was?
Well, I told you I saw him coming in '96. I just didn't tell him. When he beat Flex, I sat up and took notice because Flex was my boy. Like I thought Flex was going to be Mr. Olympia, or I was, right? So I liked Kevin's body, but I could pick him apart a little bit easier than I could pick out Flex. And I also trained with Flex once in a while. So when Ronnie beat Flex, I came back home. I was like, holy crap, how did that happen? And then I was training with Flex in '98. and he won the Arnold Classic. And then I stopped training with Flex, and of course, Flex went on. He got second place up against Ronnie, which was predictable. And again, a couple of times I looked at Kevin. I thought, how did Kevin beat me? Because Kevin, I thought, was kind of slight in the rear hamstring. From the side, his hamstrings looked good, but from the back, and I thought his back was a little bit shallow in certain areas. I thought there was an area I could beat Kevin in that I could not beat Flex in. So the 99 Olympia, when Kevin beat me, I was disappointed. 98 Olympia, Kevin beat me, I was disappointed. But if it wasn't going to be Flex Wheeler as Mr. Olympia, I was of the opinion that it might potentially be me without Dorian Yates. But when Ronnie beat Flex, and then he got called out with me and Dorian in 96, I thought all he has to do is dry up, and it took him 2 years to do it, and he never looked back.
Yeah.
Where you are in Texas.
Yeah, everything is closed here except for grocery stores. Some restaurants are still open. You just can't go inside. They do delivery and takeout.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still pretty. I haven't had much problem, with the lockdown.
Yeah.
Not at all, because I'm still able to go to the grocery store every other day. I still go to the department store once a week. I take the kids there to get toys and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The restaurants, not for me, but for the kids, they like McDonald's and Burger King. I still go there every single day.
Yeah.
So the lockout has really affected me hardly at all, because I got my own home gym here that's pretty much better than any gym you want to work out in.
Yeah.
This is where I train, all my Olympians and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't really affected me at all.
So what's the situation with the gyms now? Is Metroflex back open now? Because the last time we spoke, I think they literally just shut Metroflex, hadn't they?
Yeah, they're still closed. Yeah.
Mm.
They're supposed to open Monday, but it's still kind of a lockdown, because you can only work out for like an hour. Some gyms are doing 2 minutes. You have to wear gloves and a mask and all this kind of stuff. So
I think that's what's coming for us in the UK now. I think some gyms are starting to open up, but I just don't like the idea of training in a mask.
Yeah, and gloves, and those rubber gloves, you got to wear those too.
Wow.
And then it's like appointment only. You can only have a certain number of people, and then you got to let them know that you come in, and they can only have like 10, maybe 15 people at a time or whatever.
Have you spoke to Brian Dobson, the owner of Metroflex, see how he's getting on with all the this situation?
Yeah, he said he's changing everything up over there. He's cleaning up and painting the place and changing out the bathrooms, making improvements and stuff. So for the most part, it's supposed to be a lot better,
Yeah. So what about your business, RCSS? How has that been affected? Is things looking to get back to normal soon there? Or, I know it's hit the supplement industry globally. It's hit them really hard. So how are you guys getting on?
Yeah, we were hit pretty hard too, but the government stepped in and helped out with paying the employees and stuff. So pretty soon here we should start back getting mortars and everything, and everything should get back on track. By July.
By July,
should be back on track.
Because in the UK, a lot of employees, we're doing a furlough scheme from the government where you get 80% of your wage. They're paying, the employees. Otherwise, businesses would literally collapse, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing here. Oh,
that's good.
They did the same thing here. We got like 80% of wages, but the government stepped in and helped out a lot.
Yeah. Now, obviously, some of the biggest news of the week was the Olympia announcement. Did you catch that?
Yeah, of course I did.
So what's your take on that? Because obviously the Olympia being moved back to December, the venues changed. What's your feelings on that?
I think it's great, because I couldn't see it happening in September, with where everything is going over there in Las Vegas, and everything is just getting back on track. Guys got to qualify and all that kind of stuff. And I by September, people weren't going to be comfortable showing up at that time. So I think it's great that they moved it to December right the week before Christmas or whatever. That's the only bad thing about it, you know. You know, I hope at least it's, you know, guys can eat after the show, and if, you know, Christmas is after.
Yeah.
So that's not so bad, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's great, and I'm looking forward to this new location, Planet Hollywood, because they've had it at the Orleans or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think Planet Hollywood is going to be excited to have us there, and it's a new location, so it might be better.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually at the 2001 and the 2002 Olympia, obviously when it was at the Mandalay. Now, that was a pretty special venue, wasn't it? Now, was it 2004 when they moved it to the Orleans? What was the difference like for you as Mr. Olympia going from like the Mandalay to the Orleans? What was the difference for you?
Man, it was a big difference.
Come on, tell us.
It was like driving a Mercedes, and all of a sudden you're in a Chevrolet, like a Buick or something. So the Mandalay Bay is top class. You know, it's like 5-6-star hotel, and then you go to Orleans, where maybe it's like 2-3-star hotel. I to be honest with you, I stayed at the Mandalay Bay, you know, because I wasn't about to change too much up, you know, as far as my routine goes.
Oh, hang on a minute. So you stayed at the Mandalay even when it moved to the Orleans?
Yeah, I still stayed there. You know,
okay.
I never changed. I never went over to that Orleans hotel. I wasn't, you know, I had a routine that I was real comfortable with. I was real comfortable at that hotel, you know, and so I didn't change it up. I stayed there, and you know, when they got ready for the show, I had somebody that limo come pick me up and take me over there. So
yeah, I mean, oh man, it must, yeah. I mean, I think, why do you think they moved it to the Orleans? I know obviously when AMI took it over in 2003, why do you think they moved it to the Orleans? Do you think it was because it was more affordable?
No. What happened was Wayne DeMillia was president of the IFBB, a vice president or whatever.
Yeah.
And they fired him. Wayne had a special deal with the Mandalay Bay owners over there.
Yeah.
Where they gave him a special discount to put it on there.
Okay.
So I don't think he had to pay that much money to have it there because they gave him that special discount.
Right.
And they gave all the hotel personnel. And they had special discount on the rooms and all that stuff too. Because I remember when I got my room, I didn't have to pay that much to upgrade it, you know, because Wayne had that special discount.
Ah, right.
And when they fired, they lost all of that.
Okay. So he must have a contract. He had a special deal personally with the Mandalay, which they couldn't continue with.
Yeah, and when they fired him, they wasn't going to give it to the new people that took over.
So what? They
had to find somewhere else to put it on.
Yeah, but surely there wasn't much difference in terms of production of the stage and everything for you as a competitor, was there?
Well, you know, they kept the same stage production people, so the stage production didn't really change that much. It was still an awesome stage. Like I said, only thing what they lost quality at was like that hotel, and of course, you know, what they had it was a little bit better also. You know, backstage and all that was a little bit better.
All time, yes. But when you talk about on stage competing against him, yes, a monster. Listen, when Ronnie dropped them clothes backstage, everybody's mouth dropped. Jay Cutler, everybody. It's just freaking huge and shredded, bro. He's by far the most dominant bodybuilder in history. Ronnie is the most dominant bodybuilder of all times.
at the Mandalay Bay, but you as an athlete, you can kind of adjust certain things. So it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that big of an adjustment, as far as the venue where they held it at, So they, like I said, they kept the same stage people, and so the stage and everything was still pretty much the same.
I'll never forget, because I had my press pass at the 2002 Mr. Olympia, and I was backstage, and I remember the two guys that got the most attention was you and Gunter Schlierkamp. It was you.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was you and Gunter. Everyone was crowded around you, and everybody else was crowded around Gunter. It was just, I just remember because it was a big lineup that year, 2002. There was like 25. That was a year you had like 20. There was over 20, nearly 25 competitors, And I just remember it being absolutely rammed backstage. And I remember seeing Chris Cormier. I remember he was getting ready, and I was thinking, oh my God, he looks 6 weeks out, and he ended up getting third, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, because the level of competition that was there at the time.
Yeah. So,
but Chad was out of a hat, to get him more presentable than he was like a day before the show.
Yeah. So I'm going back to the, obviously we had 15 years at the Mandalay. Now we're going to the Zappos Theater in Las Vegas. Have you actually been there yet?
I've never been there.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know what it looks like. Have no idea. But I'm thinking it's the Olympia, so it's got to be pretty good. I remember when they had the Arnold Classic, the disease that just came out, and they were kind of like making some changes. So the morning show they only had about maybe 200 people, but at the night it looked like it was like 4,000 or 5,000 people in that place.
Yeah. Well, last year's Olympia was sold out, wasn't it?
Olympia is sold out every single year that it's been put on. I mean, if it's not sold out, it's pretty close to capacity of being sold out.
Yeah.
I've never seen the Olympia not having a large crowd, and I can't see, this disease by that time, cutting it down. Maybe they put some kind of protocols in place just in case. You don't know how things are going to be. So everybody is not really planned for this thing right now. Even the NBA, NFL, NHL, everybody's still not sure how everything is going to be. So there's some doubts about everything now.
What was your favorite Mr. Olympia in terms of actual atmosphere for you as a competitor?
Oh man, shoot, that's kind of hard to say.
Because I was there for two of them. I was there for. I think 2001 was a very special one. That was. I remember when you came right up into the audience in the pose down, and you walked straight past me. I remember it was amazing. That was a really exciting Olympia.
What year was that?
2001, when Jay got second to you.
Oh man, I'm so focused on what I got to do that I never engage audience, participation. Of course I put on a show like I am, but in actuality, I'm thinking about what I got to do and how I got to do it, and how I got to defend my title.
Yeah.
So I've never really engaged in the audience participation or whatever. I've never even really paid attention to the audience either. I'm so focused on what I got to do that it's like secondary to me. I don't even pay attention to how many people are out there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say. I remember, I'm going to tell you now, this is for a fact. Now in New York, when I won my first one,
98.
Now I was kind of staged in that one because I had no idea I was going to win. I just got ninth the year before. So I was real relaxed, and laid back and I was like, okay, if I could just make the top 5, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I was having fun up on the guys, and the crowd was calling my name, so I was engaged in all that because I had no idea whatsoever that I was going to win. My only thing was if I can make the top 5, I'll be the happiest guy in the world. When we came out for the muscularity, because the first round, I didn't get called out to like the third, fourth call out, like that.
I heard it was third. I heard it was third call out, Ronnie. Third call out.
Yeah, like third. So I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be tight for me to make the top 5 and being in the third call out. And then the muscularity round happened, and I was in the first call out. I'm like, okay, if I don't make the top 5, being in the first call out, in the muscularity round, and something is really wrong with this show. Something ain't right. So I kind of relaxed a whole lot because I was like, okay, I think I got it. So I'm gonna just relax and have fun with this. And that show I did kind of engage in audience participation because, like I said, they were calling my name. I was having fun. I was gonna finally, make my goal of making the top 5. I was gonna finally achieve my goal of making the top 5. So I was relaxed, and having fun. Because I remember me and NASA was barking at each other. Me and Flex was, having fun with each other. Kind of like looking at each other's body and stuff like that. Flex was, he would call us out and he look back there at my glutes and then he look at his glutes and try to cover.
Yeah.
So we were all like having fun up there, because I'm like, I'm gonna have fun with this. I'm making the top 5. This is the best, best show of my life. This is the best life right here. So I was relaxed. I was having fun. I was engaged with the audience, because like I said, they were like calling my name. And then I won. I'm like, oh, this I'm a different person now. I gotta be focused on winning every time I step out. Now I can't be playing around with the audience and all this kind of stuff. I can't be engaged. I gotta focus on what I gotta do.
Ronnie,
I gotta do.
Ronnie, for that Olympia, when did you think? I know because you're saying you were third call out in the symmetry round. When do you think the judges and the audience really started to take notice of how you were looking? When did you feel like a bit of a shift from, okay, am I going to make top 5 to, okay, I think I could win this? When was it? When do you think that was?
No, I never thought that.
Oh, really? Not even until the names were called?
I was thinking, maybe 4th, maybe 3rd if I'm real lucky, but no higher than 3rd. For sure, I never ever thought I was gonna win.
So who did you think? Who did you think 1 and 2 was? Who do you think the 1st and 2nd were going to be?
I was thinking Flex and NASA.
Oh, Flex and NASA.
I was thinking Flex and NASA. Yeah, because NASA got in 2nd a couple times, I think. Like Dorian, when he was there. Flex had gotten 2nd, and Kevin had gotten 2nd also. So I'm thinking these are Flex. I mean, it's gonna be Flex, NASA, and Kevin, and I was gonna be somewhere after that. But when they call, NASA for like what 3rd, I think, and Kevin for like 4th, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna get 2nd now.
Yeah.
I know I beat Flex. They've already told him he was gonna win.
Yeah.
He's already been paid the guest pose at the show. Be the winner, and leading up to the show, and that's what everybody was saying.
So we come down to Miss Olympia. I'm like, man, if I can make the top 3, this will be better than a dream come true. Because I know I never win. Because like I said, I just got in this sport just to keep my free membership to the gym. Leading up to the show, everybody already gave it to Flex. So I'm like, okay, at least I got 2nd. So I'm still just as happy as I can ever be.
In 2nd place.
So all of a sudden, Wayne calls out Flex Wheeler name for 2nd. I'm like, did I just hear it right? And I'm like, yeah. And the first thing I did was collapse.
Flex Wheeler.
Well, Flex had already gotten 2nd like a couple times, So this was his moment, to shine and finally take the crown after placing 2nd all the time. So I knew in my heart that I was going to get 2nd. I mean, 1st was totally out of the question.
Yeah.
Totally. I didn't even imagine
I didn't even consider it.
Yeah.
Not even consider. Even when me and Flex were standing up there together, I'm like, I got that.
Yeah.
And that's just weird.
So we all know about when you.
So when they called,
yeah.
And I collapsed. I don't even remember what happened until Vicky came up on stage and picked me up.
So I know, obviously, when Vicky Gates came and picked you up, and I mean, we spoke about what Flex said to you when you were on the floor. Like when you stood up, when did it really hit you? When were you like, oh my God, I've won the Mr. Olympia?
I think that it kind of hit me like when Vicky came up there and helped me up, and I came to my senses a little bit. You know, Flex said, got the second place and walked off stage, and I'm the only one there.
Yeah.
That's when it kind of hit me. I won.
Yeah.
But you know, when they called Flex for second, I was out of it. I don't remember nothing. I don't know. I don't even know where I went.
What about when you woke up the next morning? Ronnie, what about when you woke up the next morning? Were you thinking, was this a dream or was it?
I don't even think I slept.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
I don't even think I had so much adrenaline flowing within me.
Didn't sleep.
I don't even think I slept that night. I don't even remember sleeping. I remember, you know, like going to parties and eating all this food, you know, and I was just too hyped to sleep.
Yeah.
I couldn't even fall asleep.
I interviewed Flex Wheeler, your friend, the other week, and he was talking about the 1999 British Grand Prix when the two of you were weighing 256 pounds on stage, and Flex said that was when he felt he was the closest to you on stage. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and then I thought he was actually going to win that show too, because they had called Flex for the center position, and I'm like, oh man, at least I won Olympia.
No, because he filled out by 10 pounds. He said he weighed 246 at Olympia. Then at the British Grand Prix, he said he just filled out and dried out, and he was 256. And you said to him, "I'm 256 as well." And he was. Yeah. Was it a bit of a nervous moment? That one, with it both of you looking so good and you winning the Olympia and not wanting to lose the title, the win. Yeah. So was that a bit of a nerve-wracking moment with obviously having won the Olympia, second Olympia, bigger and better.
Especially after I won the Olympia, and I was, Olympia champion. They supposed to get defeated like a week later, you know. So yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking for me. Yeah. But at least it was Flex, and Flex and I have always been real good friends. Yeah. And whatever, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people who say that the 1919 Olympia look was your best ever look, in terms of aesthetics and mass and everything. Do you feel that you looked better at those post-Olympia shows or not as good? Because obviously Flex got better from the Olympia. And I remember seeing the pictures. I was at that show. And I remember thinking, you look... Did you think maybe even look better than you did at Olympia at that show?
Yeah, of course he did. Actually, he had told me some direct I gave him that helped him out a lot. Me and Flex have always helped each other out a lot. Coming up, during our competition days. So yeah, I really didn't think too much about it. I'm just trying to help him out because he's always, yeah. But he did look a whole lot better than he did, at the Olympia. Like I said, it's kind of hard to tell where your body's going to peak sometimes, in this bodybuilding. You try to get it, you can only peak like once a year. I found that out the hard way. If you don't peak at one show, then sometimes you'll peak at the next show. Yeah. And I think that's what happened to him. Because me and him back in 1997, when we were going, toe-to-toe at each other, I remember beating him at the Canada. Mm-hmm. And the next week, he beat me. And I'm like, man, how did this happen? It's only a week apart. Yeah. I just beat him last week, and how you going to come beat me this week? I was so upset about that. I'm like, okay, I guess, like I said, the body peaks at certain times, and maybe he peaked better than me at that show a week later. But
I didn't think so, but
yeah,
that's the way it was. I guess that's just the way it is sometimes too, you know.
You've just said there it's you can only really peak once in a year. Do you think doing the 2001 Arnold Classic nearly cost you the 2001 Olympia?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, like I said, I peaked at the Arnold that year.
You were shredded.
And then I tried to do it again to Olympia, and it wasn't happening. No matter what I did. You know, I did everything I always ever did, getting ready for a show. But this time, since I'd already peaked at the Arnold, my body was not cooperating with me no matter what. And like I said, it almost cost me the Olympia.
Yeah.
And I learned a very valuable lesson.
What was that, to not do any more shows than the Olympia beforehand?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The body on it once a year, and that's it. So if you wanted to peak at the Olympia, then you just do the Olympia, and that's it.
I mean, I think is that Olympia and Arnold Classic look were completely different. It was like two completely different bodybuilders. I mean, what were you, 245 at the Arnold, and then what? You must have been 270 at the Olympia that year.
Exactly, because I couldn't lose the water. You know,
okay.
I had to, to be honest with you, I had to drink a gallon of water before I got on stage.
Really? Why?
Because I was exhausted. You know, I was trying to dehydrate my body like I did at the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
But having that, you know, I fainted the night before the show. And I never fainted, you know. I remember it to this day. I did a whole bunch of appearances that day. I had to do a radio show. I had to do some photo shoots in my room. You know, I had been doing all this media stuff leading up to the Olympia. So I'm in the room the night before the show, and I'm tired, you know, but I'm getting ready to go to bed, but I still had to put on my tan. So I'm standing there in the mirror while my girlfriend is putting my tan all over me. And all of a sudden, you know, because I was so exhausted and so tired, I just fainted right there in the room.
Oh my God.
I fell backwards in the tub. The tub caught me, you know.
Yeah.
That, you know, out the bathroom, I was standing in front of the mirror, and behind the mirror, in front of the mirror is a bathtub. I fell backwards into the bathtub.
Oh God!
That kind of like saved me from hitting the floor and stuff real hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened? I had some friends in the room at the time with me because we were still talking to each other. Everybody's getting ready to go to bed, so they, we were saying our goodbye before the show the next day. And they like, dude, you fainted. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know how. And so the next morning, I wanted to get out of bed. I couldn't move. I could not move. And I'm like, something's wrong. I went to stand up. I sat by the edge of the bed, and I went to stand up, and I fell back down in the bed again. I'm like, man, I'm still tired from last night from fainting, And then all of a sudden, I got real sick. A real sickness come over me. Like my body was like, something ain't right. I felt real bad. I didn't feel good. It was like I was hurting.
Yeah.
I was, but I wasn't doing nothing. I'm like, why am I in all this pain? Why my body is hurting? I'm like, something's wrong. I'm like, I'm going to the hospital. Because I feel like, I feel awful. I felt real bad. I've never felt like that before. Where my body was hurting and all the pain. I wasn't doing nothing.
What was it? What was it, Ronnie?
I was exhausted.
Just tired.
So I called my nutritionist. I'm like, Chad, hey, man, I'm feeling real bad. I say, I'm tired. I can barely move. I'm going to the hospital, and so they could, see what's wrong with me. He's like, no, don't do that. You don't work too hard for that. Because it was the morning of the show. He said, just grab a gallon of water and just drink it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. So after I drank that gallon of water, I felt a whole lot better. It was like night and day, just like that.
So it was dehydration, you think?
So, yeah. I was too dehydrated, to go on stage to do anything. So by this time, I felt good enough to do the show. So I'm like back to normal, but I'm holding water because I just drank a gallon of water. So I just had to go out there just like that, because it's either go out there like that or go to the hospital and not do the show.
And share and like and comment. But now as you like.